You guys
Are
are
you?
I'm always ready.
perfect. Okay.
Hello, YouTube. It is I, Captain Straw Hat Lucas of The Last Ark, and we are here today to talk about Chapter 1119, give our thoughts on it since we did get the chance to on Saturday, and go over the very, very spicy SBS Volume 109. We're also going to be taking questions from chat and our Discord server. So if you are not in the Discord server, make sure you join because that is the direct way to ask us questions. But yes, chat, flood us with the questions you have for the crew. I am joined today by, of course, my lovely, lovely crew that I had just mentioned. Let's go roundabout and have everybody introduce, tell you guys who they are, and say hello, even though I'm sure most of you guys know them already. So let's start with the musician of The Last Ark, Joshua Vykthor. Josh, how we doing?
Yo, it's a boy.
It's a boy. He's having a baby? No.
No!
Oh, by the way, Lucas, they could see the Discord chat and stream if you want to close that.
No, it's fine. I've got it set up so they can.
All right.
Just everyone be good.
I was like, Dill, be on your best behavior.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was worried about too. Speaking of Dill, next up is the Frontline Combatant. NoChillDill. Sorry, I was doing a stream of liberation intro for you.
Oh, you're all good, brother. I loved it. I'm the frontline combatant of the last arc. I'm here to defend every and all take that comes out of the last arc and fight. I'm putting my life on the line for it. So, let's get into it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Next up, and certainly least, is the historian of the last arc, Mr. Kube the Red Sea.
I will fight with that take. I will stand behind that take that Lucas had. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? Excited for this stream. Obviously, it seems that history is repeating itself. So who better to clear everything out than the historian himself? So let's get on this stream, guys.
Let's go. Next up, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful member of the Last Ark crew, our wonderful Navigator. Also, shout out to the Navigator of the Straw Hat crew for a happy birthday. It is Miss 3-Day Trip.
Hey guys, it's me 3-Day, and you can find me on Reddit and Twitter and here.
Yes,
and everywhere.
Yes. Everyone go make sure you follow 3-Day on Twitter. And last but certainly not least, the head chef, the head cook of the Last Ark himself, Mr. vexyz, the lurking legend. How are we doing today, brother?
What's good? It's your boy vexyz, the lurking legend. Y'all can just call me Vex. I'm doing fantastic. Always a good time when I'm here cooking with the crew. Love getting these SBS like drops and stuff like that. Lots of fun insight on what Oda has to say to the community, and it's hilarious this time around. One of them made me actually like cry laughing almost, but and we had a peak chapter, so I'm hype.
So yeah, let's actually go around the table here and see how did everyone feel about 1119.
I thought it was great. Getting to see Gaimon and Sarfunkel was huge. It's like, yeah, I was like really excited that the message wasn't completely over, which apparently some people were upset about, which I don't understand. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, it makes sense. And we got to finally hear the man, the myth, the boy himself speak, so like, that's cool. I thought it was a really, really great chapter, monumental chapter. But I also think it's really funny that some people are upset about it.
Cube, I believe you were going to say before Vex went.
No, I was just gonna say, for me, honestly, I think the 3 chapters, even because we had like 3 chapters before the break week. Honestly, I think we've been well fed. We were the broth for the last 3 weeks, So I feel like it's finding where I wanted Egghead to be. So yeah, honestly, 10 out of 10 for me.
Really, 10 out of 10. I think this chapter was like an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Because I'm taking with the build up of the two previous chapters.
Yeah,
usually,
fair.
Yeah. Like it's a big build up for me. It's like I was like, ooh.
I think the highlight of the chapter was definitely either seeing that Joy Boy, like knowing that he spoke with Emmett was just amazing. Um, and then obviously Emmett jumping out of the water and taking off part of Workery's mustache, Whitebeard style.
It is true. It was a funny scene, honestly. So yeah,
Yeah, Keeper, I'm gonna need
this
you to
game
say
is-
psych right now in the chat.
However, I will say this. You know how we were talking about I was bringing up a point in the chapter, and I do think you think Oda is building the if Yamato is indeed leaving Wano, you know, doing the Odin travel, then going on his own adventure after Wano, or you think that now we're showing a bit of hostility with those kids if he's preparing the story of why Yamato will leave Wano now.
Well, I mean, it also parallels Odin's flashback as well because before he left Wano, no one liked him.
Yeah.
Which I found that very interesting. It was definitely not a route that I would expect Oda to take, especially after the services that Yamato provided during Onigashima. Which, I mean, I guess the general public wouldn't know about that, but I feel like Momonosuke as a shogun would have at least told everybody about, like, the great heroics of the son of Kaido Yamato.
The question is, for some people, did the great action of Yamato was able for them to forget what Yamato's father did for 20 years? It's like it's the age-old question,
Yeah. The age-old question of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Wood.
Hey, yo.
That means. Justin, hey, yo. Remember, chat, ask us questions if you want to. This is an AMA. The crew will answer all of your lovely questions if you just want to post them in the chat. That said, we will dive back into chapter 1119 soon. I want to jump right into these SBSs, though, if everyone's cool with that.
Yep.
Yeah? All right. Starting out with question. Bonnie's devil fruit is the age fruit, which makes her an age manipulation human, right? Does this mean if she keeps on maintaining their age young, they won't be able to die? Oda said in response, so that's how you think about it. But in chapter 1072, Bonnie said this. When it comes to living things, the effectivity won't last forever, so at some point the effects will come undone. Another question reads, in chapter 1096, one of the two boys who threw rocks at Kuma wore a cowboy hat and has freckles, has the same looks with one of the members of Bonnie's pirate crew. Are they perhaps the same person? Oda answered, each one of them appeared in the Sorbet Kingdom. Also, each of them is depicted to have a crush on Jenny, meaning Bonnie's pirate crew is originally made up of Kuma's friends, who were also strong fishermen who watched over Bonnie's growth. They will protect Bonnie wholeheartedly like she's their own daughter. Currently, Bonnie was once captured by a Kainu and escaped afterwards, without joining with, I suck at pronouncing this dude's name, Gyu and the others. She went alone to find her father, went to see her father at Marie Joie, escaped on the ship of Tajin Kingdom, afterwards infiltrated a government ship, got close to Egghead and shipwrecked, got rescued by Luffy and the others. I'm gonna kill Vegapunk! This was how it went down. So that's some spice already. So, I don't know. By this, do you guys think he's implying that... Are they still in captivity?
Yeah, probably.
Either she was caught independently from the rest of her crew and they're just still chilling wherever they were, like pre-New World, or they might still be in captivity.
Yeah.
I think it's the first one that you were saying, Vex. I think that they're just chilling apart from all that. But yeah, it does seem to imply that Bonnie was on that mission by herself, which is also kind of scary for a 12-year-old to just be like, yeah, let's just go straight up to the people that did this to my father.
We have our first
I
question in
think
the
Gross
chat.
Stonks.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's in the SBS Oda, like what you just read, Lucas lays out like Bonnie's route all the way from like her captivity to all the way to Egghead, do you think that chapter 595 Bonnie possibly visited Punk Hazard? I think that's actually huge and very probable. I don't know. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that before I spit?
No, go ahead, my man. I do agree with it, though. It is very spicy and probable, but yeah, go ahead.
I just think, like, what we know about the supernovas is that most of them were not intended to be a part of the story, and that the week before the chapter dropped, like, Oda's like, I gotta make this more hype. Saba Odi is mid. Like, I gotta gas this up some, even though it was like already still such a crazy chapter, or such a crazy series of chapters, and like such a good arc. So he introduced all these guys. I think that Bonnie was probably one of the few that he did have much bigger plans for. And he did mention that the only reason Law got as much screen time as he did is because he won a lot of popularity polls and things like that. I think it could have been very possible that we could have gotten like a Bonnie plot thread that early. But he decided to veer away from that and go for the longer play, But yeah, that's a fantastic question, Gross Stonks. I love that. I think yes.
Yeah, 100%. €5 super chat from Mr. Bushido. Like the stream, thank you very much. Hanafuda is Ulti Dad, and name is a card-based name. So Ace took down Ulti Dad, so Ulti versus Luffy was a blood feud. I saw this theory bounce around on Twitter and Facebook as well, Bushido. I don't know if, per se, I would say, like, think that he would be Ulti and Page One's father. Of course, I want to hear the rest of the crew's thought on that. But I definitely think him being named after a certain type of playing cards in Japan, that was the first thing I thought when I saw that. Because, fun fact, Nintendo in the 1800s was a card company, and they made Hanafuda cards. That's the only reason I know what those things are. But yeah, I don't know, but I definitely think he was tied to Kaido's command. Like, I think he was the one finding the ancient devil fruits for Kaido. But yeah, crew, what are we thinking?
Same thing that you just said. That's my sentiment on the whole thing. I think it's just Oda. If it's not the father, he's just connected him to the underground. Like Doflamingo also had that card named Joker.
Exactly.
Part of the
Well, that's actually kind of what I was thinking. Is that maybe Hanafuda was the original producer of those fruits, and once Ace defeated him, Kaido had to make that deal with Joker to get the Smile Factories and everything fully operational and whatnot. That said, I don't know if the timelines line up for that. Since we are talking about Hanafuda, I'm going to go ahead and read out the SBS. Does anybody else want to spit on this real quick?
No.
Good job.
You could just read it. Joshua, will say something?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Classic.
Shout out to Knack with his,
was that the soundboard?
No, that was just him.
No, that was actually him.
Yeah. Shout out to Knack with the $2.79 Monopoly Money super chat. Good day to the best team on YouTube. Good day to you, Knack. I hope you enjoyed the Gear Piece video. Finally came to fruition. Everyone go check that out on Din Din Kushi's YouTube channel. Question. In chapter 1100, the warlord that Ace beat, which was being talked about by Kuma and Saint Saturn, what was that person like? He looks like this. His name is Hanafuda. His hobby is collecting ancient zone devil fruits. On what he's scheming behind this remains unknown up to now. His height is 514 centimeters. His other name is King of Lizards. Now, I won't lie, King of Lizards is very telling to me. Could be that he has the Tyrannosaurus devil fruit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I could see like the relation. Like I've seen a lot of people like on Reddit and stuff like that posing that it could have been Ulti and Page One's father, and like there was a connection here with Ancient Zoans and the King of Lizard and King of Beast, connection between him and Kaido. And we do know that, like Bushido said in the chat, and like Oda said in a previous SBS, is that Ulti and Page One's father was apparently like an acquaintance to Kaido. They knew each other. So I think it's not outright said. And I think it's weird for Oda to like engagement bait a future SBS question in a current SBS. So like, are we going to see in 110 whenever that volume drops? Like you mentioned in last SBS that this person, Hanafuda was that? If it's like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. That feels like a little bit of like too long of a play for even Oda. You know what I mean? I don't think we're ever really going to get more details on it. So I don't think we're ever going to really get like a perfect confirmation, but I could see it being possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shout out again, John Stroud on all social medias in the chat. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and so this was my first impression when I saw it. I don't know why it gave me a vibe of Kid Pirate. And so that's why I'm bringing up this theory. People brought it up the first time we heard that story of Ace and that Shishibukai. But could it be also that this guy might go back to the man marked by flames? Because the scythe on the side, plus the way his arms were, just for the first like time I read it, I said, "Ooh, he looks like he could be connected to the Kid Pirates."
Yeah, especially with his hand looking the way it did, which is weird because Bushido just dropped a €2 super chat. He kind of looks like Drake, which is the Allosaurus, with a cyborg hand, which could be why you thought Kid at first, especially, with his arms looking the way they do, which could also be a tie to Queen. I mean, Queen is known for their cybernetic abilities. If he was adjacent to Kaido's crew, it would make sense that Queen may have made some kind of deal to help each other out.
Yeah. That was just.
I just think that the tie to the Toby Ropo, because they are all named after like games, and aren't the Toby Ropo? Not all of them are card games, but they're like board games. But cards are specifically important with the calamities and like with Doflamingo. So it was like something tertiarily to the Toby Ropo that could be above the Toby Ropo or beside it. But like, so I think it's really funny that it kind of fits both of those motifs.
Ooh,
I think this is as close to a confirmation as we'll ever get. But I don't think we'll really ever get one, you know.
Possibly deeper connection with Doflamingo as well. Maybe the reason that Doflamingo was trying to link up with Crocodile is because his previous business partner had gotten taken out, which would be Hanafuda. I did see in the comments too someone talking about him being the man marked by flames. Actually, I would take that. I'm not gonna lie. I think that would be pretty cool. Actually, for somebody from
because of Ace.
Yeah, because of Ace. Yeah, being the one that marks him with his flames. Maybe that's why
I don't see how he would have a poneglyph.
SBS. Yeah, I don't know how he'd have a poneglyph either. Though, yeah, that does bring up that question.
Yeah, that's what,
I think that's a huge stretch. Like anybody who's been next to a candle, there's a man marked by like I don't think it's that. Like I think it's gonna be
Mr.
somebody a lot more central. Oh my god, I think it's gonna be someone a lot more central or a brand new character entirely. And this is a brand new character, but they kind of still have to be a little bit more relevant than that, right? If like they got taken out by pre-time skip Ace, well, that's the only Ace we ever got. But if they got taken out by Ace, I don't really think they're like end game super relevant. You know what I mean?
So what I was going to bring up is that it is interesting that he was specifically going after ancient zones, and a lot of Kaido's crew is comprised of ancient zones, and then apart from that, like out of like the main core members, there's regular zones.
Another $5. Another €5 super chat by Mr. Bushido. Real quick, let me just read it out. Cube.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
He said, "Funny. I did have a theory. Ulti and Page 1 were Kid's brother and sister, but doubt now. I also know Kid will recruit 9 more people. Is he going to recruit them from the bottom of the seafloor, Bushido?"
I saw a theory, or I heard someone say that Killer was gonna swim with him up, and I was like, "What do you mean? Killer has a devil fruit too?"
Yeah, I was saying, Killer has a smile. But no, I would love to hear that theory.
It's all about heat and wire. They gotta carry, you know.
Actually, what you guys, especially when we talked about this former Shishibukai becoming to Kaido, could explain why on that same year, Ace went up to Wano as well. That's the same year, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah.
You know, one of the two came first. You know, one of the two came first. Like maybe he found out about him when he went to Wano, or when he fought against him, he found out about some stuff about Wano, and then one of the two options.
Yeah, that's what I was
he
just
talked
thinking.
to Yamato and was like, he knew because of Whitebeard. I'm pretty sure, right? It wasn't like, I mean, at that point, we obviously didn't know who this person was, but like. This was to my understanding, as long as Ace was like a legitimate member of the Whitebeard crew, he wasn't really just going and doing like was the Hanafuda stuff before he became like a second division commander, or was that like in the middle?
Before it was before
the Whitebeard,
because Whitebeard read the newspaper.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like it mentioned that it was uncharacteristic of Ace to just pop off and go and chase Blackbeard. So I don't think he was just constantly going and doing his own thing, even though that's kind of all we ever saw from him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like that's like just a small excerpt of like his whole Whitebeard second division commander career. You know what I mean? He was like controlling a full ship. Stop.
I mean, hey, he does have a giant hole in his chest. He will 100% get 9 new crew. Bushido, I'm going to have to hear this theory, brother. I ain't going to lie. Moving on, next SBS question.
I think he put it... yeah, I think he put it in Punk Records in the server. But, like, honestly, if I had a nickel for every time I heard 100% from Mr. Bushido.
Question! Oda Sensei, the only places where Kuma's paw ability can fly you to are limited only to the place that Kuma personally visited. Oda, yes, that's right, because in the past, Kuma traveled around the world. I think we all knew this. I don't think we needed an SBS question for this.
I was just talking about this last stream that I was on with you guys, like, because I think Cube, you brought it up, like, what if the Paw like sends him to Elbath? I'm like, I don't think he's ever been to Elbath. And then we had a little bit of a spin-off discussion, like, does he have to have been there? So this was like something we were just talking about. Yeah. Like a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah. Move on to the next one then. I think, yeah, because I don't know.
It's all the confirmation that's all the confirmation I need to know that Oda in fact watches these streams. Hi Oda. Hello.
Hi Oda. We love you. Thank you so much for One Piece.
I didn't know you understood English.
So I'm going to read one more SBS question, and then we do have a question from the Last Ark Discord server, link in the description, that is for the crew. So let me read this first. Question: the CP8 member, Alpha, is she a relative of Khalifa? Also, CP9 is an organization not known to the public, but CP0 is known publicly? Alpha is Khalifa's younger sister. Among the members of CP9 from 22 years ago, we saw Lasky. He is the father of these two. Basically, Cypherpole raises kids with no kin relations for them to become excellent intelligence agents. So their case is a rare one. In reality, they were individually raised apart from each other with almost no familial connections at all. That's because emotion can become a weakness in this world.
I mean,
I think
yeah, and it can also be a strength. But I see from the world government's perspective that it'd be, yeah, if you
that's
see
Dragon's
this person
perspective
die,
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because you've said to Kuma, like, that's my one weakness, and you know, like, and I think it's really interesting that Oda, you know, decided, you know, yeah, this is traditionally you know, like a bunch of like anonymity surrounding it, but we're gonna throw 2 nepo babies into the picture. Like, you know, like with 3 actually if you count Spawndom. But and then for the other part of the reader's question, it said in Dressrosa that CP0 is like very publicly known, like everybody knows CP0 is a thing, but the rest of the Cypherpole agencies are more and more increasingly shrouded in mystery. Like, some people might know about 1, some people might know about 2. That is so funny that Smokey pops up in the chat when we're talking about Khalifa and Alufa.
Yeah, right. Like, he heard his woman's name and he had to put it, because if there's one thing I know about Smokey, that he loves white women.
I mean,
there's this smoke signal in the sky, and it's like, I'll be there. Like,
I'll be there.
I mean, we could only assume Doflamingo was having long-standing deals with Cypherpole.
Yeah.
So I'm just walking around with masks. Yeah, you don't know who they are, but you see them enough to be like, okay, these dudes, they seem to be government side and not just Rosa.
Well, it's not so much. it's not so much that he got in contact with Cypherpole Zero to get them there in Dressrosa. He got in touch with like straight up the Gorosei, and they were like, "We'll send you our lapdogs." But like, it's public knowledge to the world that CP0 directly works for Celestial Dragons and the Gorosei.
This really, I won't lie. With the other SBS about Cypher that we read about Cypherpole afterwards. This actually, I'm wondering what Oda's been building with Cypherpole ever since Guernica said that told X Drake he envy his freedom. I'm really curious on where he's going with Cypherpole because it feels like there's a I'm not gonna say B tier storyline, but like a C tier storyline with Cypherpole that he's little by little, especially now with Stussy, with this chapter. That vulnerability that she showed.
Yeah. Yeah, that part kind of got me. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Kaku she was so cute.
So upset, dude. Yeah, no, just like Kaku, he looked so upset that he had to tell her to run like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your accent
gets
me every time.
I know. Yeah, he was crying. Like, yeah.
He would kill her.
Say caw, like a crow. No. Oh my god.
So we do have an SBS question from a member of the Discord server that he wants to know from the crew. This is from our lovely man, Knack D. What does the D stand for? D's nuts, of course.
Clearly.
When did each of TLA start One Piece? Let's start with Josh.
Oh man.
I started in the summer of 2019.
When did you get caught up?
Right when the COVID hit.
Oof. I think COVID was when a lot of people started watching, so you got weekly during COVID. It's crazy. Dill.
Yeah, like
yeah. Oh no, go ahead, Josh.
No, I think at the end of the summer, and then a few months later, the COVID hit, and it was perfect.
Dill, when did you start One Piece?
The start was as a young lad. I was up visiting my grandparents, and there's nothing to do in the mountains whenever you're young, and the only electronic you have runs off batteries. So I went down to the library, checked out this hardcover 3-volume section of One Piece.
Let's go.
2007.
In 2007?
I didn't catch up and actually fully invest time into reading it until 10, maybe 15 chapters before Gearfest.
Nice.
Josh was 2 or 3 years old, man. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Cube, I think you're the earliest one of us to catch up. When did you start reading One Piece?
So I started reading and watching the anime in the same year. So I first saw the volumes. So it's in 2002. So I first saw the volumes in the library, and I was reading Naruto, Death Note, some of them. Those guys or some of them. Then on the same week, I saw the episodes of Lockdown, and then when I saw Dragon, the way he ends when he appears in that episode, I started reading, and then I caught up a couple of years later on, because I was buying every time the volumes, and I caught up in volume 25. So just when they were just about to go to Skypiea, that's when I was caught up. And I've been very patient, guys. I've been very patient for this endgame story.
Woo! I'm gonna go last because the reason I started One Piece is sad as fuck. Everybody knows that. 3-Day. When did you start One Piece?
Oh man, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm just gonna pretend life without One Piece never existed. So
that's fair.
Let's go.
Vex, what about you, brother?
I used to famously talk trash about One Piece because I caught a stray episode here and there back in the Toonami 4Kids days where Sanji had a lollipop and they skipped arcs entirely and Helmeppo had a hammer gun and stuff like that. Yeah, it was. I stayed for the rap, or I came for the One Piece rap, and stayed for me talking trash about One Piece because I had just terrible takes when I was a little child. Then I got like almost all the way through Alabasta, and then I just never really like continued watching it. I was like, I'm watching Death Note. Screw this. Like, so I just like took myself way too seriously as a kid. And then I think it was like in 2018, my brother, who's like a huge like One Piece fan, was telling me like, dude, you gotta get caught up. There's so much because like I was getting back into anime at that point in time after taking like a big break from like anime and manga in general. And he was just like, no, yeah, you gotta check this out. You would love it. It's just like this and this and this things that you just watched. And I was like, all right, fine, I guess I'll give it a shot. But like, I'm not watching through all of the original stuff that I've already seen again. So I skipped East Blue and skipped Alabasta because I'd already seen it all, and I went straight into Skypiea, and I actually fell in love with it and binged through as much as I could. And then like a couple months later, the shutdown happened, and so I had plenty of time. And it was at that point I got like almost all the way caught up, but I didn't want to read the manga. That was anime only for a while. So I got like to part 2 of Wano. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna stop. And and I'll just wait until, the anime picks up and does more like episodes and stuff like that. And then I got like news from a friend who was current, and they were like, do not be on the internet. You are about to get spoiled on crazy things. So I was like, man, whatever. And I binge read like 60 something chapters of the manga, and literally 12 hours before scans dropped for 1044 was when I got caught up. And the first current chapter I ever read was Gear 5 Luffy.
Beautiful. Such an amazing story.
Also, yeah, also to add a bit more context to Vex's experience reading first time One Piece, and the first time he was introduced to Law, there was like a light from the heavens that came to him and went, hallelujah, and he said, that's my guy. I found my guy.
Law isn't even my number one. He's literally not even my number one. Like I might be the biggest Law fan in the server, but he's not even my favorite character. Like that's the funniest thing.
Is he your number 2 though?
That's irrelevant, Dill. He's not my number one.
To answer the question, my story is very similar to Bex's. I watched One Piece when I was young, when it was coming on Fox 4 Kids. And I thought it was garbage. I thought it was garbage up until about 2021, I would say. And my brother Jay had asked me to watch it with him several times. He was getting caught up. And then when Jay passed away, you guys all know this, I decided to watch it, and I started watching in January of 2022, and the first chapter I read when I caught up was 1049, when Luffy beat Kaido. That is the chapter I caught up on. And then another chapter dropped, right? And we went on a month-long break. So, like, I got Kaido, the reveal of Adult Momonosuke, and then a month break.
And then 4 weeks of, hey, here's all the stuff I wanted to throw in Wano, but I couldn't. So, you can have it.
Yeah, they did that.
Tree the Wolf, another TLA member, the struggler of TLA, who's not in the stream right now with us, but I do kind of loosely know his answer as well. Dude literally got caught up the same chapter that you did pretty much, Lucas, because as soon as he got caught up, there was a month-long break, and he's like, what the hell? Like as it's like right around that same week and a half, 2 week period was when Tree got caught up as well. But I think he had been reading for a lot longer, and he didn't like binge through it. I don't know when he started, but I know that's when he got caught up.
Yeah.
Yo, I have to read this. There's someone in the chat. Grove Stocks. He wrote, I remember when Law on Alive, but then we got another 10 years of him. Ooh, that's like.
Are you talking about when he was on Green Bit?
You can't keep him down.
Yeah.
You can't keep him down. Growth Stonks also had said, question, at what point in One Piece were you hooked? What got you completely hooked? And I think that I won't go right now, but I grade this on like 3 different tiers. There's like when I was like oh yeah, I'm gonna take this more seriously because I thought it was goofy at first. And then there was like, oh, I think this is top 10. And then there was a point separately from those 2 points where I was like, this is peak.
Yeah.
So like for me, this is like a 3-part question, but I'll let y'all go. Go ahead.
Mine is a 2-part answer, just like that. I started falling in love with One Piece a little different, a little bit earlier than most people. Most people say, I think it's episode 37 when Nami asks for help at Arlong Park. That's when most people say they start falling in love with One Piece. For me, it was Usopp's stand at the top of the hill, Serb Village. When he's standing up there and he sees all the pirates and he knows he has to stop them. That was like Usopp's top 3 for me, and that is why. Is because he was the reason I started to fall in love with One Piece. But I would say that I started taking it a lot more serious once Alabasta started and Luffy punched Vivi. I joke about that scene a lot. But it is the scene that I was like, okay, this is much more than just some pirate show about a guy who can stretch. Like there's more at stake here than what I initially thought. But yeah, I would love to hear everyone else's answers.
Me, I had actually fell in love with it during the Sanji and his backstory, how he got to be at the restaurant. And then, of course, when Zoro fought Mihawk. And he said he would never lose again. That was, and then
such
Nami.
A beautiful moment.
But yeah, actually, a Sanji. Most people wouldn't like that, but it was for me.
Yeah, I feel it though. That's such a powerful moment. And then his goodbye to Zeph as well.
Yes, yes.
Feet dry. Like, oh man. That
you keep your feet dry.
Got me, yeah.
Dude, they nailed that in the live action too. I was recently rewatching it, and I was like, "Oh my god, yes, dude."
What about you, Cube?
So for me, I always tell people it's in 3 waves. Arlong Park is where, because I was, I was like 11 or 12 when I started reading One Piece. So I really got it as a kid so chapter 432, the reveal of Dragon and Revolution Army. And I was like, ooh, this story is getting interesting. But as I got older, there are 2 moments where it actually says, oh no, One Piece's peak at this moment is for me Arlong Park or Chopper's backstory. Like Chopper's backstory, for some reason, like the other backstory, like Baratsu's backstory was like sad as well. But there was something about Chopper, especially, like him still being somewhat of the child of the crew. And then Dr. Hiluk's quote, his famous quote at the end, just before before he goes unalive, was that that's why I say I was hooked in different ways in 3 different waves.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Josh, Dill, when did you guys fall in love with One Piece? And then we're gonna read another SBS.
Oh, I don't get an answer. Let's go.
Oh wait, yeah, Vex does too. Yeah, sorry, I thought you'd already gone. Josh.
Yeah, I think it was at Arlong Park, like around the part when the moment with Nami and the walk to Arlong Park. That was the moment. Like, yeah, I like see in any anime, seeing the main cast just go to have a common goal in the moment like that.
Yeah. I will agree with that too, because that's like really I don't want to say it's the first moment they felt like a crew, but it's like that's when you start to get the crew dynamic to the fullest effect, is that walk to Arlong Park.
I mean, yeah, sorry, go.
No, go ahead. I was just
gonna say with all of the other arcs, and also that not all of them were there, but before that they were always obstacles. I think Arlong Park is really where they stand on business as a crew. I think before there was like Sierra Village, they were like isolated everywhere, and then Baratie, like it was a naval battle. So I think Arlong Park, you're right, Lucas. That's where they really stood on business as a crew.
Yeah.
The first time.
Dill.
So I think I have to do mine like Vex does. So the earliest one for me that made me like, yo, this is actually like really high, is same as everybody else. It's Arlong Park. The next one is probably like the most impactful one, and it's Luffy climbing up the Drum Rocky Mountains with Nami on his back. And that one is just so heart-wrenching. It drives you to see what happens next. So it also does the same effect of that. And the third one that is my personal favorite that also got me to like invest more into characters is Zoro versus Luffy on Whiskey Peak.
Yeah. You mean
you
mean Fat Luffy versus Zoro? Yeah, that's one of my favorite fights as well.
Oh my god!
I mean,
I just want to say,
even after he thinned out,
I'm shocked that Josh has answered it in a Perona anywhere in it. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Bro, see, you said the earliest moment.
Oh my goodness. For me, I didn't take the show seriously when I was a kid because I was watching the 4Kid stuff, but I did really appreciate Baratier more than pretty much anything else I saw up until the finale of Alabasta, which I never watched as a kid. So as soon as I picked it back up as an adult, that was like kind of where I started, was like, I'll rewatch the crocodile fight because I remember that being gas. And so like for me, the moment that I was like actually definitely taking this show seriously was Water Luffy. No, I'm kidding. It's whenever they throw the X's up, and like the Nakama scene leaving Vivi, and like that was so huge for me. And I was just like, oh man, I was just wrong for my entire life, and now I have to like watch 1,000 episodes more of this. This is crazy. Like, you know, so that was like where I was like, I have to take this seriously. And then I got to the point where I was like, it's top 5 in all of the Nico Robin backstory stuff, Water 7, like intrigue leading into Enies Lobby, like absolute peak. And the penultimate moment of that is obviously when Zoro said, "You're a sword now" to Usopp. No, it's I want to live. Absolutely, I want to live.
Yeah.
And then Thriller Bark is when I said this is no, it's Marineford. Marineford was the moment where I was like, this is absolutely one of the best things I've ever seen, and I put it over things that I thought were my favorite. Like One Piece redefined for me in Marineford. Like it was a much slower burn for me, but I was also like, I don't know, I was a full-grown adult who spent his whole life not liking One Piece, like famously trashing One Piece. So it was like, I was a tough sell at first, but by the time I got to Marineford, I was like, okay, this is not just top 5. This is top 1. This is so good.
When I first experienced Marineford, I straight was like, this is literally the best piece of fiction I've ever witnessed. Like it just took things to a whole different level. And with the I Want to Live moment, not to get off topic or anything, but like that moment means so much to so many One Piece fans. I myself have said, you know, it helped stop having myself from having suicidal ideations, and I know a lot of people who share that sentiment. Because when Robin said, "I want to live," it was so powerful that real people decided that they wanted to live.
So, guys, I have, and I'm gonna jump in on what you just said because I have something back then. I can even tell you when it really got hype, One Piece. But we've got to give a huge shout out to 3-Day Trip, who gifted 5 membership and a membership at the same time to the captain of the last arc strike, Lucas. So yeah, so what you guys are saying?
Because I make it.
So with Vex, what you and Lucas said is so on point because I remember when I was reading One Piece, you know, since I just before Skype I got caught up, and it's actually the stretch of Water 7 to the end of Marineford that really like changed because before the arcs were great, but there was like a lot of like.
Just say Thriller Bark. That's all you want to say, brother. Baby. I know. I get it.
So before that, we're younger. It was more like everyone was like on the big three. One Piece was always like the people saw it as just comic relief because the other ones were just. One Piece there was like moments of greatness just before Water 7 and Enies Lobby. And Water 7 and Enies Lobby is the first one where, since the beginning till the end, you're like, dude. And then the what I want to live moment, you know, Sogeking burning the flag. Luffy declaring war against everyone. Like that's when the antics really went up. And I remember like the way people talked about One Piece was the same way they talked about Naruto or Bleach at that moment. It was no more like the Joker of the street. So yeah, so it was like a bit of a context back then.
A 250 page theory that's almost done, and the conclusion I've reached is that One Piece is about appreciation of life. I agree entirely. Definitely look into Chopper thing because that man is like the definition of appreciating life.
I also 1000% agree, and another character to look into is Brook. This man died, and still the only thing he wants to do is to reunite with someone that he considered a friend in Laboon.
Exactly.
Dude. And I'd like to shout out. There's one as well. I won't lie. I didn't like him until I got his flashback. And none, I didn't like him. I just said, okay, cool character, but that's all. When we got the Jinbei flashback with Fisher Tiger, that's where like the respect towards him. When I remember he gave love to Luffy, and then you see what he went through in his flashback and the way it went. I said, dude,
Nah, man, him.
that's like.
I fell in love with Jinbei the minute he helped Luffy with the PTSD about his brother, and I know my experience.
What
with
is it you still have?
Yeah, is a little different just because of the loss I experienced before I started watching One Piece.
Mhm.
But, like, when Jinbei came in and said that shit, dude, like, and now that he let Luffy like hit him and bite him and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when he sat down, you know, he was like, "What do you still have?" Like it. Chills, man. That's when I fell in love with Jinbei. But the Fisher Tiger flashback, the two flashbacks on Fishman Island are my favorite flashbacks in the entire story. I've said this multiple times on the stream. I just think they're
Wild.
just so
You put him over Kuma?
Kuma is creeping its way. I want to see it animated first, but it is my number 2 right now.
No shot, bro.
Yeah,
that's
dead
wild.
serious. Yeah, I want to see it animated though because I think it'll hit much harder in the animation. But it already hit hard in the manga. I don't want to downplay what happened in Kuma's flashback. That shit was heartbreaking. I am going to read another SBS question now. Chat, remember, you can ask us any questions in the chat. This is an AMA, so let's go. All right, next SBS
AMA
question
meets
is,
SBS.
Yeah. Hello, Oda. I wrote this letter from France, and I wanted to know how the members of CP9 got promoted into CP0. I wish you good luck. Q, someone from your own country. Okay.
Actually, it was me. It was my. It was my question. It was my question. It was my question, actually.
Yeah. Okay, because of the translation, the Japanese got weird, so I just put the message as is. Firstly, let's talk about the CP9 who were defeated at Innie's lobby. The CP9 members appeared in the cover story series CP9's Independent Report, in which they were blamed by their chief, Spondum, with the sin of mission failure, in which they decided to vanish someplace else. That's how their training to get more stronger started. On the other hand, for some reason, due to the authority line of Spondine, who is Spandum's father, he, Spandum, got promoted as chief of CP0. From here, Lucci and the others uncovered the invasion crime plot that the underworld big shots and former level 6 prisoners are scheming with Spandine and crushed these organizations to prevent it. After that incident, Lucci and the others were reinstated as agents of CP0. Spandine is on his deathbed, lost all his authority, and Spandine became Lucci's underling. Spicy. That's some spicy stuff right there.
Yeah,
More
man.
Nepo babies in the cipher pool.
Yeah, man. That's why I tell guys, I'm writing in the chat. The new nickname for Spandam is Nepo Baby Spandam.
Oh my God.
More Nepo Baby you can't. At this point, is the guy's been. So actually, it's something that always bothered me is how I've always said how they keep sending people on level 5.5 with the Marines. You know, Marines keep, or the jailers, and they keep disappearing. So I'm wondering if this storyline is something that's going to come pretty soon in Impel Down. You know?
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, people assume the closest level to level 6 is in level 5. It's actually level 5.5, and the tunnel's still unused. So actually, they're the closest thing they have is an exit.
Yeah. I mean, we have another question from Jody List. Does anybody think Kuma regenerated his foot with will? Most assume it's a mistake by Oda, but Kuma's built different. I think Luffy could swim and Kuma could walk with no feet to save Bonnie. I don't know, actually. Go ahead, Josh.
We didn't see the foot directly get completely burned up, so it could just be there but hurt and burned.
Yeah, I think
this was a weird point in the illustrations where, like, I think this was right before the surgery, wasn't it? So, like, yes. I know, like, Oda doesn't like to have most of the central, you know, panel design character art done by his assistants, but I'm almost positive. I wouldn't say it's like this has to be a mistake by Oda. I think it was a mistake by the team. And Oda just course corrected it whenever he did. I don't, and it's crazy that nobody asked about it in the SBS. I thought for sure that was because like people on YouTube were going crazy about it and Reddit and stuff like that. So, but I don't think that it is inherently Oda's mistake. Because correct me if I'm wrong, this was right around the time where he was putting a little bit of his workload onto his assistants and his like the rest of his team and things like that. I'm pretty sure this was just like somebody else drawing in Oda's place, and he was just like, oh no, we gotta fix that. And so now that the volume is going to be released, I don't know if it'll be paneled maybe a little bit differently.
Yeah, I'd say we have to wait for the volume and the animation. Go ahead, Kube. Sorry.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of the one. Don't you? I'm not. I think vividly it happens to think of Crocodile. The hand that was supposed to have the hook had a hand, and I think they cleared that up. It was years ago. So I'm wondering that's what oh my god, all the names. What Vex is saying. I think I agree with you on that thing. It could be like someone just lapse of judgment.
A lapse of creative control.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
I mean, I think it's interesting because like the closer we get to the end of the story, Oda is also getting a little bit older and things like that. Is like there might be a point where he has to let his team be in charge of a little bit more of this. So we might be actually seeing like more little hiccups like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's crazy because Oda has been so airtight on so many things, and then all the things that he hasn't been, he's addressed in SBSs or in the data books and things like that. And again, his crew helps him like with all of these things. Oda's not just a singular man putting out this intellectual property. And so I think that, we might be expecting a few more of these little hiccups moving forward, but I think this would also be the best time for the team to kind of like be fully aligned and kind of step up to make sure that these types of little tiny things, and it is a tiny thing, don't happen again. Though without us having confirmation of what the Buccaneer race is truly capable of and things like that, we'll never know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Will actually had also a sentence. Obviously, no one can answer that question, but that question, but it's interesting. He asked, "How can a god make mistakes? Make mistakes?" It's true, Will. How can Goda make mistakes? That's what I think is his team.
Well,
Mr. Bushido 56 asked. Go ahead, Dill.
I was going to say, well, in actual practices of it, the reason that the gods make a mistake is because they end up putting too much of a certain quality of themselves.
Mr. Bushido had asked, do you think that the Punk Hazard Underworld bosses include Lucci? He said he sent a panel in the TLA Discord, link in the description. If any of you guys want to check it out. No, I don't think that at all.
No, I think it's Lafitte is who that was, potentially. But I do see the similarities there, Bushido. SBS question. Draw man's butts. Sorry, but please draw it kneeling down. Please draw the butt of every male member of the Straw Hat crew. I beg you. Oda. No, I will not draw it. I'm not interested. Based takes from Oda.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's inspired by all of the new egghead outfits for Nami and Robin and the other egghead females.
That SBS should be part
Zoro
of that.
Zoro in that onesie, crouching down. Like, no, bro.
That SBS has to be on the should be in the category of that other SBS where someone asked if Sanji was lusted over his sister because she's a girl.
I think this is really funny, and like I went through a lot of the SBSs trying to put a game show together, like I don't know, like a year ago or something, that never really got off the ground because I very quickly came to realize that in every SBS there are so many questions that Oda's fans ask him that are just really bizarre, and this is one of those. And it's been a while since I think we got one, but there's just always like someone asking about like characters' bust sizes and like draw this person's panties and like draw butts and like stuff like that. And I'm just like, yo, y'all are thirsty. Like Oda's a real one. Like it's crazy.
I'd be honest,
I don't remember seeing one of these questions in a while.
The world needed Zoro's bust size, though.
Yeah, exactly. That was essential.
Yeah, man.
Mandatory. Yeah.
He did all that building of all the SBS bust size questions to lead up to revealing how big Zoro's chest is.
Yeah,
It's just really funny, and I'm glad that like I do One Piece D&D content on my channel, and we do SBSs. Like we try to line them up with like volume releases. Like we just did a recap last night, went really well. Not many questions were asked though. I'm so glad I don't get the troll questions in my streams. This is not
well, now
an
that you're saying,
invitation to. Bro.
What do you mean? Who?
next question: how long is each of Screw's dick?
Bro.
Now this
like
question reminded me
when I roll for it.
This question reminded me of the SBS where Oda confirmed that oh my god, why am I drunk? Hody Jones had 2 penises.
Oh yeah.
Wow. We got a lovely question, an actual question from 3-Day Trip themselves. The navigator of the crew said, do y'all think this chapter proved Gorosei are not devil fruit users, or are they like San Juan Wolf and can just wade in the water and still fight? I love that question, and absolutely Knack with the 279 Monopoly money also said, please answer the SBS question about those switches Nami got. That's hilarious. To focus on what 3-Day had posed, I absolutely do believe somebody brought it up in Dak's live reaction to the chapter. Not only did Top Man jump out over like roaring waters at like to clash with the giant ship, like with like no footing whatsoever, fearlessly just ready to do that. And as far as I know, he can't fly or swim, so why would he do that? But there was also whatever they were like, it's raining, and all the Cypher Pole agents started to like, spew out of Jupiter's tum-tum. Those were people who were in the Sea Prism stone bubbles. So this dude had Sea Prism stone bubbles inside of him, and I think that is enough confirmation that I need as somebody who's always been on the boat, that these are not devil fruit users.
Yeah, no, these are pure devils. That's what I think too. I really think that I think the water is not affecting them, and this could tie evidence into Emu being Umeboshi, which has been a very long-standing theory that they can control the sea and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree, Vex. I think this is very clear that they do not have devil fruits. Go ahead, Cube. Sorry.
I'm just gonna say because Vex, you said something, and I'm saying Oda is cheeky enough to do that. You know how we always said when someone says something's impossible, and people say, "Well, it will happen when pig flies." I don't want the situation where this workery is actually the only pig that can fly.
I know you.
People say it's impossible. He's flying, and they say, "Yeah, I'm a pig. I fly."
I know that you didn't mean to, and that you meant to say cheeky, but you did accidentally like come off as saying cheeky.
Yeah, no, I did it on purpose. I was trying to make a pun with it. That's why I purposely said the word cheeky as golden lion cheeky.
I think that it's like it not only did like on their name reveals with their like little like nameplates and portraits, the fact that we didn't get devil fruits introduced then, but then like this all considered as well. I know like Lucas has put out a theory about it. Tons of people have been talking about it, and like everyone's either like firmly a believer that these have to be like mythical Zoan, like other God's fruit users and things like that. I've heard people like people in the chat right now are saying things that I've heard as well. Like they believe that they could be an extension of Emu themselves. I had a theory at one point in time that I'm not really fully married to, but I still think it's interesting. They could be just like beings that are utilizing hockey to its fullest, so they can like twist the air around them, and even maybe the sea itself, so that they wouldn't sink. Like Brook can just run on water. So like, and like Sanji can sky step. Why couldn't you just use your armament to harden the surface of the sea if you can like kind of meld Conquerors and armament as well, so that you wouldn't sink? And I think that like it's really interesting, but the sea prism stones in Jupiter's belly, that is something that's completely different from like what Mercury like exhibit. Like it's this man should not have been able to move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just a shout out, first mate of the last arc, Din and Kushi is in the chat. You are right. I did say Umi Bussy. That is exactly what I said. Go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
You just like with Japanese pronunciation, sometimes Lucas, you just throw all the vowels in the cylinders and play like Russian roulette with them.
I do,
You're just
baby.
like, they go somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I said it correctly the first time. He was just making a joke.
Umi Bozu.
Is what I said.
No, okay.
Umi Bozu.
No, it's not.
That's what
That's
he
exactly
said.
what I said.
No. It's what he said. It's not what Dindin heard, though.
Nah, dude, play the tape back. I know what I heard.
Go ahead, Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying another possibility is that if Emu is the ruler of the sea or the mother of the sea or whatever, it could be that the gods are forgiven by the curse. There are foot users, but they're just not affected by the sea and the sea prison stone.
They have like a pardon. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Their contract includes the pardon of the seas. Just like Moses did with the Beyblade.
Exactly. Let it spin.
And also on that note, I'm gonna leave because I have D&D.
Yeah, have a good time, brother. Roll some nat 20s for me.
Take it easy, bro.
I hope he crit fails.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Shit.
I'm joking, Josh. I love you.
So, Dill, I need you. We're gonna timestamp this. Dill, I need you to get the clip of him saying Umi Bozu wrong and put it on the soundboard for me in the server. That'd be great. It's around 58. It's around 58 minutes. Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a ringtone for me.
But no, I mean, I think it's like this is as close as like he's gotten to like giving us confirmation without outright giving us confirmation. And again, it's crazy that like nobody asked this and it got put into the SBS. But like I think that there's no way that they're all devil fruit users, and I like there's a lot of other options that it could be, but this is I'm checking it off my bingo card. You know, this is confirmation as far as I think we're gonna get. You know what I mean? Until we get the full explanation of what they are that is different.
We got an Oda box for when he explained Pudding's tribe. And that was just 1 second. It took him 1 second. The fact that in the Oda box, he just put the name of the yokai, I agree with you. They're not devil fruit, but at least there's more to it. If, you know, it's going to realm of devil fruit, I think it's more than just devil fruit. It's like primordial, even.
Shout out Growth Stonks with a $4.99 super chat. What are your predictions for the ending of Egghead? Will we get the name of the AK since Vegapunk and the AK were introduced during the same arc? I've been a big proponent of us getting the name of the AK before the end of Egghead. With how... I don't know, though. At first, I thought the message was going to end when Emmett got knocked into the sea. But now, like Vex said, there's clearly more to the message. He's already mentioned... He's told us what the Will of D was. We just didn't hear it. So, seeing that, I think that it's still
not quite true.
Oh, he told us, but we didn't see it. Right? Like he told us something about the Will of D.
What he said is he told us something about the D clan and that one among that, but that doesn't necessarily, it could be anything. You know what I mean?
Well, he talked about the wheel, that it was cut out this chapter.
Yeah, I don't know if I think he's going to talk about the ancient kingdom because he was specifically mentioning that he only had so much information. And he was like, I'll only speak on the things that I know as fact. And he already told us about the flood, which was independent knowledge from what he got from the poneglyphs. But he did also share the knowledge of the poneglyphs to the public, and then some significance of at least one member of the D clan. And I feel like at this point, like, I don't know how much else he would have gotten, since he only had so much access to so many of the poneglyphs through his research and things like that. He doesn't know the full story. I think that the Ancient Kingdom is something that's going to be a bit of a slower burn as far as I see it.
Mr. Bushido.
For me,
go ahead, Cube.
Just to finish, no, I was just gonna say I think it's going to be similar to the Odin flashback, where we're at the end of this chapter with the message. We're gonna get a clear idea, but there's going to be like holes. We know what we're supposed to understand. Like we know Laugh-Tale, we learn about everything, but we don't know exactly how they got, what type of information, like in what way everything is together in Laugh-Tale. So I think that'll be the same thing with the message. We'll just have ideas teasing us.
I like that idea too. He's pretty good at that. Oda is, where he'll give us enough information that we can speculate and get close to the truth without actually hitting the truth. Mr. Bushido with the €5 super chat. What Oda said about Shiki implies Shiki is going to return in the manga. My theory is on Elbaf, and he will save Kid, Killer, Heat, and Wire and train them like Rayleigh did. Definitely interested in seeing that. We'll talk about that more once we hit the SBS question about Shiki for sure. I know a lot of us have shit to say about Shiki. I'm going to go ahead and read the next SBS question we have. It is question. Hello, Oda-chi-san.
Before you get to that, Den put a question in the chat as well. Was where will the inhabitants of Egghead move if the island is destroyed? I feel like the easiest answer is what G14's like right there. And like they are all supposed to be government related or something like that. But it's I'm sorry, that laugh got me. But it's like they're all supposed to be government affiliated, at least tertiarily. I know, I'm about to as well, but I'm in the middle of a sentence.
Instead of Bozu.
I told you. So it was like it's really like the only other options are Hachinosu, which is a pirate island, Elbaf, which is absolutely not going to be somewhere where they go and elope to or anything like that or relocate. And then there's like Wano, right? And like that's a sealed country. There's only one island that we really know about other than Sphinx that is even remotely close to where Egghead is at right now. And these people all being tertiarily government like related. And I mean, the government was trying to straight like ice them, so maybe not. But yeah, it may be Winter Island, or maybe Sphinx, or maybe G14.
I mean, think about it. Sphinx is led by a doctor, so people who are researchers and scientists of Egghead, or some of them who work in that field, they would have a place in Sphinx if you think of it logically.
Yeah. Question.
Shout out to 3-Day for gifting 5 memberships as well to 3-Day Trip and to Dead and Kushi. Congrats, 3-Day.
Wow! Yeah, you got the captain and the first mate this round. Let's go.
Hold on. Also got Ragnar with it.
Oh yes, it's true. Ragnar as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got the white whale. That's crazy. I've tried to snipe gifting memberships to Ragnar in so many different people's chats, like a dozen or so times, and I have never actually gotten him. And I know you want to get to the next question, Lucas, but Denda did put another one in the chat if we wanted to just cover that very quickly. How do you think the Gorosei will behave when they get back to Michael Jackson? I mean, Marie Joie.
I thought Michael Jordan.
I mean,
not just that personally.
Mars might already be back at Marie Joie, so I'm sure he's like, "What the hell?"
Blasted back to the fucking red line.
Bro, you forgot this respawn beacon.
I think we're gonna if they
It's
go
hilarious.
back to Marie Joie, I think we're gonna see the wrath of Emu. I don't think Emu's gonna take them out or anything necessarily, but I think we're gonna see them get scolded by Emu for failing to stop Joy Boy, aka Luffy.
I would say even more. It's something that bothered me is Akainu has it shows that he's not scared to stand on business with the Gorosei. The only time where he faltered is with Celestial Dragons. So I'm wondering if not the one we've seen, but people like in the range similar to Garling with that type of energy. What if they're gonna have to answer to them as well? Because the Celestial Dragons were all
what if
reacting.
The Gorosei are all put on trial, and the Holy Knights are
Yeah.
the new Gorosei. And we find out that would be so cool. What a paradigm shift that would be.
That would be
Because
wild.
no one of the Celestial Dragon, all of the Celestial Dragon, even those who were questioned, like St. Carlos' sister, they all had a weird look on their face. So if the Gorosei, the way I kind of is, I'm wondering if the Gorosei have even though they have power, the Celestial Dragon, there's something about Celestial Dragon that makes them, real royalty compared to the Gorosei.
Then Mars is on Skypea with his brother Gonfall right now.
I put in the chat he bumped into NL on the moon.
Bro, imagine he was flying over the area. He was flying over the area where Jaya was and gets hit by a knockup stream. He gets comboed from Luffy into a knockup stream straight up.
I'd lose my mind.
He's gonna be staying with the. He's gonna be staying with the Southbird in Shandora.
Yeah. So SBS 109 question. Hello, Odachi-san. Granny Neon said that the Empress from 2 generations ago died from falling madly in love. But the Empress from 2 generations ago was oh my god, Shaki. I'm not pronouncing her real name. Why did Granny Neon lie about this? Oda, this is a matter of reading comprehension, face, dude. That is the coldest line that Oda has ever said. And shout out Will of Dreams. No, dude, shout out Will of Dreams, because the day that this SBS dropped, me and Will of Dreams were in a VC talking about how some people, just lack the reading comprehension needed to understand One Piece, and the fact that Oda came in this hot to a SBS question is wild. What were you going to say, Dill, before I read out the answer?
No, I was literally gonna say that's all Oda had to put is just full stop at the end.
yeah.
You lack the reading comprehension. Full stop.
It's not a lie. What she's referring to in this line, the Empress from 2 generations also was talking about the love sickness that she also got. In fact, in the past, the empresses and warriors of this country have always died from this sickness without knowing the true reason. But in the recent years, Granny Neon and the others seem to have avoided death by going overseas. Then we kind of see a timeline of the past empresses of Amazon Lily, including Gloriosa, who escaped the death, Shaki, who also escaped the death, Toritoma, who died from the sickness, and everybody keeps saying looks like a female crocodile. And
can we spit on that real quick?
Yeah, we can spit on that, man.
Hey,
that's what we're here for.
It does kind of look like a female crocodile without the scar.
Yeah, Keeper put in the Discord, guys. Go look in the OP talk
I saw
section.
it.
Yeah, Keeper put a fucking picture of her in there with the scar across her, and I was like, you know what, man? Shut up.
It's like, you son of a bitch, I can see it.
Yeah, now I see it.
I mean, I'll say this: that face fits for both the 2 agendas: female crocodile or Luffy's mom.
Yeah,
could be either the 2.
I don't think the timelines match up for her to be Luffy's mother, though.
I think it still does.
I don't think it does.
Well,
think it does.
Well, think of it this way: if she had gone off and died from the love sickness, if there was already the next Empress in line, Granny Neon would just stand in as kind of like the surrogate leader almost until the Empress is ready, and then boom, the Empress to be gets kidnapped by celestial dragons, and then she comes back.
She ever left the island, and in fact, this SBS seems to imply that she died because she did not leave the island.
Yeah, because it says like empresses in recent years have avoided this by doing. She obviously didn't avoid it, you know. So I think that like anytime somebody tries to tell me that there's a connection between this person and Luffy, it's like I mean, it's like headcanon inside of headcanon inside of headcanon. Like it's like, well, what if this happened, and then this thing happened, and then this thing? I'm like, yeah, okay. If all of those things, it's like a Rube Goldberg machine of like what ifs. It's just kind of, I'm thinking at this point, it's more Occam's razor. He's just not going to show us Luffy's mom.
Yeah,
She's not like he's showed us her already, and this is not a character that we've seen already. But he did say years ago, she's already been shown. So like this immediately rules this person out in my mind.
Yeah. Just so you know, Lucas, actually, she could have been the Sword Empress was still active while Luffy was already born. Because she was there 13 to 14 years ago when Hancock was being brought back.
Yeah.
Also, I thought that SBS comment had came out before Return to Water 7, and it was just parents ambiguously of gender.
No, it was the SBS most likely that Vex is talking about was more than likely referring to Dodon.
Yeah, as well. Because you know how Oda is with what is a parent.
Yeah, what is a parent? And he's all about found family, and for all intents and purposes, Dodon is Luffy's mother.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I do want to point out real quick, though, 3-Day brought this up in the chat. This is from Arthur, Library of Ohara. Like all Kuja, she's named after a flower, the tritoma, or the torch lily. As such, while in Japanese her name is spelled as Toritoma, the canon English spelling may potentially be Tritoma, just like the flower. Very interesting that it's, once again, something with Amazon Lily is tied back to Lily. That, Oda, what are you doing to me, my man? What are you doing?
It's called Amazon Lily. Like
I know that, and then we find out about Nefertari D Lily. Like, there's some things there.
And I think
it's that thing that Oda said.
SBS 109 question: Golden Lion Shiki has finally appeared in the main storyline. So does this mean that the events of the movie Strong World has been officially incorporated into the timeline of the main story? Oda: well, you can forcefully incorporate the whole movie, but if you do that, it won't be that much connected to the main storyline. However, regarding Strong World, what I think is the Shiki that existed originally in the main story is the same person used in the movie. Yes, he's in the main story from the start. However, it wasn't shown in the movie. Shiki was not supposed to have eaten the float fruit. I have a self-rule that I won't make a guy that can freely fly and float through the air. So I decided to seal away the float fruit, because this is a manga about pirates. But since it was used in the movie, I have to use it now on the original work. It's true that a strange reverse importation has occurred. So that's confirmation for me that Shiki is still going to have the float fruit. Wins.
There's a term in his sentence that really bothered me, is not the fly, is the freely. And I've always said with the flamingo, we've seen it with the flamingo, the way he moved in the sky was so much faster. I'm really wondering if, and we talk about Bifrost travel, you know, with the Viking themes. I'm wondering if with certain powers, like maybe the birds have to reach under the clouds. What if when you reach over the clouds, the way you travel in the world of One Piece becomes drastically much faster? You know, like the world might not be as big as most people think it is, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
That
I
was
like
just
that a
my...
lot. So do we think for sure that Shiki's the lurking legend? Or do we think it was Rocks?
I think a lot of people think it was Rocks, and I don't think it makes sense for it to be Rocks.
Neither do I. I've never thought it. I thought it was Emu, because that question dropped about the same time. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. But didn't that question come out, or that statement come out right before Emu was shown at the Reverie?
Yeah, it's the Reverie time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what for me I've always said it's either emu, and because they use that term when they spoke about in Wano, the Nika fruit, the Joy Boy, the moniker. Because when they first talked about it, Jupiter said it can't be. It's just a legend. They use the term legend talking about the fruit. So it's for me it's either emu or the lore of Nika, the lurking legend.
The lurking legend of Nika. I like that actually a lot, Cube. I've never thought of it like that. That's fucking brilliant, man. You know, sometimes you say things and it actually makes sense. No, I'm joking.
It's my ADHD. Sometimes I make sense, sometimes I
wanna,
don't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much time on the lurking legend specifically because I mean I have content in the works on that right now. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Don't hold your breath though, because I have a lot of other shit going on right now.
You know what?
But
Vex, I'm happy that you're doing that. You know why? Because you being actually a lurking legend makes sense that
your
you have to
name
make
is
that
literally
content.
the lurking legend. Like, it would make sense that you drop a video on it.
Yeah, doesn't it? But so it's like, but to speak on Shiki specifically, Oda had mentioned before that he would never give the Straw Hats like an airship, and like he was like adamantly opposed to like ever having the power of flight fall into the hands of the Straw Hats. And so like even when Robin is able to fly, it's only temporarily, and even with Sanji, it's only temporarily that he can skywalk and things like that, because he was like, this is supposed to be a story about traveling across the seas. And so someone who has the power of flight is either going to be somebody that would ultimately oppose the Straw Hats, like with the Mother Flame type situation, or be somebody who is going to be able to. I think that it's like it's end game, like when the story about seafaring pirates is about to be over. That's when these types of individuals actually become important, like with Morgan's, who has his blimp and stuff like that, and but the power of flight is not something that Oda really wanted in his story, which is also something that he kind of established when, Pell spoke about, oh, there's only like 5 devil fruits in existence that could grant the power of flight. It's supposed to be something, obviously that was a lie, but,
That's for sure.
So I think that Shiki will be a slow burn for sure. I don't expect to see him. I do expect to see him returning. I don't expect it to be right now. But I wanted to focus, unless we had any other Shiki discussions, on something 3-Day put in the chat, which is absolute fire.
Yeah, I was about to go for that. Go ahead and read it off, Fix.
Spit, bro. Okay. She put Amazon Lily, where women get love sickness, and Laugh Tale, where men get love sickness. Something to do with coming or going to a certain island, all about romance, maybe? Is there like a connection between these two islands? And it does romance in One Piece possibly have a different meaning for men and women? And I think that that's a crazy thing to think about, because there are multiple definitions of romance. When you think about like the types of stories, there are like romance, like comedies, and romance tragedies, but romance typically didn't actually mean, until more modern definitions, like
love
a love story or anything like that. It was just a story that romanticized concepts, so something more fantastical, or like as opposed to like mysterious, and like where it's, these things that are like blown out of proportion. Things can get absurd, things can be unexplained and silly, and like that's what like true romance draws back to. But nowadays we often conflate the term romance in English speaking countries and things like that to like rom-coms and like Valentine's Day type behavior and stuff like that, and that's not necessarily what it fully entails. So there are multiple definitions of romance in our world, so I think it would make sense if there were multiple definitions of romance in the One Piece world as well.
Yeah, because we have because romance, by the definition that Odo most commonly uses, is about mystery, excitement, and remoteness from everyday life, which is literally the definition of romance. I like the idea that it could mean two different things for women inside the world of One Piece as well. Like the whole idea of maybe they see romance as that first definition, that one of love and caring, and in Boa's case, unrequited. Um, and then men see it, for what it is, that romance of adventure, that mystery, that drive to go out to the world.
Yeah. I think it's the real dividing line between them, and I'll keep it brief and then you can spit, Cube. I'm so sorry. It's just I have to get this thought out. It's like it's that you're either thinking more locally or you're thinking more globally. And
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily anything masculine or feminine, but it's just like, oh, I'm in love with this part of the world right here versus I'm in love with the entire world, or that concept of it within the world and things like that, where you get the distinction between the two. Really, it's a matter of perspective. Go ahead, Cube.
Yeah, I'm gonna give an example. Since I've been telling, I think I told Lucas as well, but I've been telling that in for months. After rereading Sir Village, I think Oda gave a certain explanation on the love sickness, because the way they explained Kaya's sickness and how she healed herself kind of makes you think of that. She got so depressed. Her sickness is based off depression after her parents died. And then when everyone talks about her, none of the medicine working, the only thing that seems to be helping her was Usopp making her laugh. And then when she actually, just like Usopp, goes after her dreams, she seems to be healing. So I've always wondered if that's why maybe he made the introduction of Sapphire's skill right now. What if it's like the concept of having the blues? Like for women and men, it might be different, but there's something in their heart that makes it so heavy that basically that's how they get this love sickness. They're not able to do what they love. Like for Kaya, it was losing her parents. She did not get a reciprocated love of Kuro because he was not really loving her. And then Mary, she even said it many times, she preferred Kuro over Mary. And Usopp was the only one. What if the way she felt about Usopp was almost this as the same level of how much she loves her parents at one point at the end, That's how much she loved him. So I'm wondering if that could explain also love sickness, It's like there's so much weight in your heart that you're keeping in that at one point, it just unalives you.
It's actually there's a real life disease. I think it's like I learned it from way back in the day watching Scrubs or whatever. It's called like Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, and it's actually called like broken heart syndrome. And it's like you suffer such a severe emotional trauma that your body slowly ceases to pump blood. Your heart literally begins to fail itself because of sadness, and that's like a real thing that actually exists in our world. And I think a level of it is a mind over matter type of thing, where your mind is prevailing over your actual automatic body functions to the point where you're like it's almost like, I don't want to say it like hypochondria, but like there are individuals who can believe themselves to be sick even if they're not. And so it's like it's interesting to think that there is like the power that your mind is able to prevail over not just your body, but even potentially like the world and reality around you. And that just kind of sounds like Conqueror's hockey to me. You know what I mean? So it's absolutely something I could see being present in multiple places in the story, not just isolated to Amazon Lily. But again, like when you have like colloquial like tales and like these stories that are passed down, especially on isolated lands like Amazon Lily, you wouldn't be able to hear about Amazon Lily, just in the East Blue. It's like that doesn't exist. Like there's no way that's a thing, because it's like shut off from the rest of the, unless like specifically about like each of the warlords and like Boa's backstory, like and stuff like that. You would have no reason to know this because it's such an isolated location. So their like colloquialisms are like going to be more prevalent in their area just because like that's within their lore. That's like established in their canon and things like that, but it's been kept fairly isolated. So I don't think it's necessarily something that is tied to the land itself, other than the fact that they're just so geographically and politically isolated from the rest of the world.
Man, can you repeat that medical condition? Dude, that was a mouthful.
Takotsubo cardiomyopathy.
Dude, I don't know how you were able to say that in one go.
I have a freakish
Just Google
memory. I
Google
haven't thought
broken
about it
heart
in
syndrome.
years.
That's like the more like colloquial term for it.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
and also
We
fun
have a
fact. I know animals actually do that. Like my nephew a few years ago, he had two rabbits. One of them was
yeah.
obviously disappeared, and the other one, after a month and a half, basically died of a broken heart because he was alone. They couldn't do anything. They were trying to feed
they'll
him
stop
everything.
eating.
Yeah.
I get it. We have a
Especially
$4.99 super chat from Growth Stonks. That said, Zeph said he cooked for a famous pirate, most likely Rocks, chapter 1096. Zeph might have appeared as the smiling guy wearing the sunglasses and a hat. I have no idea. I have to go look this up. Like, what?
He's talking about the guy, the one Rocks member
Frankie's
we
dad.
couldn't tell. People say Frankie's dead. I said, what if it's Dr. Hylyuk? He had that Hylyuk laugh. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Zeph, but that'd be so funny because like Zeph's notebook is supposed to, if you add that, you can find the One Piece. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Bum, 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 bum. SBS question. Question. Please tell us the name and rank of Fujitora's sword. It's called the bunch of kanji letters.
hype. Hype.
Yakuza Kazan, also known as the Yakuza firing line. It's a Shikomizu sword stick, cane sword, and it's one of the supreme grade blades. It's a Meito made by Fugetsu Kisaboru from Wano country. Hype. I always want more Fujitora facts.
I just don't know what you even did with all those vowels.
Yeah, listen to this.
Like, goddamn. Sorry. This is all I needed. I have had Fujitora stocks through the roof, sky high, like for ages, and everybody's like, yeah, nah, admirals are mid, or like new admirals have got nothing on, old admirals and stuff. No, Fujitora is him, and this just further solidifies that. He's got one of the 12 supreme grade blades. Shout out to my man Dak Sake in the chat. Yes, we are cooking. But I absolutely believe now more than ever, but I have believed this since Dressrosa when I met him. Fujitora solos. This dude is him.
Yeah, he's my favorite admiral.
Straw Hat Kufi said Fujitora could see John Cena.
This is facts.
I have a question to ask you guys. With everything we've been getting in Wano, right? And like swords are usually given, in the same family. Could this mean that if he is from Wano, we might have actually half his family? He might be a Fugetsu?
I mean, not everybody who has a named blade is from Wano. It's just we know all of those swords are from Wano. Like it says, Meito grade blades are all from specific master class, like blacksmiths that all hail from the land of Wano. But not everybody with a Meito blade is from Wano. I think there's a case that Fujitora might be, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the case of if he's originally from Wano, like I'm wondering if his family comes from that family. I was just saying, going with that, playing that game of he might be from Wano. The fact that he has a blade, just an interesting thought.
I don't think it's like any confirmation because there's tons of other people with Meito blades.
Yeah, true as well.
Including me.
Okay.
Little ways in. I'm just
pause.
This is a review for the Vega Cola from SBS 109. The moment you drink it, as the pungent feeling of ginger hits in, and the aroma of apples and lemons spreads through your mouth, the ashwagandha and ginkgo leaf extract activate your brain so much that the ideas won't stop rushing out. I love it. I want some Vega Cola and some Vega coffee right now.
Just guys, a big shout out in the chat to Dak Sake. See him lurking
in here.
Is there an echo in here?
No, I love how Lucas was perfectly able to pronounce ashwagandha and ginkgo though. Like, I gotta give you your shine where you know.
Yeah.
I'm giving you such a hard time. I'm sorry.
I don't always mispronounce names, but when I do pronounce them, I get praise for it. Oda, yes, I'm gonna say it.
Dak is cooking.
The SBS starts now. Pop. Oma gets Fish Avatar Oda gets blown away by Kuma. Oda, zoom. Right now I'm flying above the ocean's surface. A moment ago I was asked by a huge guy, if you want to go on vacation, where would you like to go? Let's see, I want to see the Aurora Borealis in the Southern Pole. That's what I said. Reader, is it true that Saint Top Man Workery's beard is actually a boomerang?
What?
He did not answer this. If the apple on Vegapunk's head was a banana instead, what would happen? He also ignored this. Reader, the SBS, that corner never existed in the first place. Huh? The sky? No, it's a parody of the destruction of La Lucia Kingdom. Can you plug Edison into an electrical outlet? Oda, I don't know. Seriously, you guys. Me, the author, got blown away to the South Pole and is about to be blasted by an attack from the sky. What kind of questions are you asking me? Shouldn't you be worrying about me first? An electrical outlet, banana, boomerang, hell if I know.
Hold on, though. This is all so important, though, because isn't the Aurora Borealis something that happens towards the North Pole?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said to the South Pole, and like, is pole shift theory confirmed? Is this I don't know, this could be huge, guys. Like,
Elson saying Andy Lex syndrome in the chat is crazy. Hi there, guys. Straw Hat Andy Lex here.
You know, I didn't read that
his name.
SBS, and I'm happy Vex said it because I was really about to Google aren't the Ouroboros in the North Pole. I was really like, my eyes twitched when I heard that. That's it. South Pole? That's weird.
Very funny. We are on the last SBS question, guys. On Nami-san's chest area, there seems to be 2 switches. Can you tell me what kind of switches are those? Oda, yes, I really like these things, so I will gladly tell you. Saneda, if you were just not here, so cold. Winter, the gazes of the women. Well then, we'll end it right here. See you in the next SBS.
Dude.
And then it says, unhinged. The SBS, such a corner never existed to begin with.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, we do have one
we
more.
have 3-day trip.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to read from the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
3 days said, question, Vega Cola SBS maybe hints at a version of Frankie's Cola power source. Maybe Vega Cola will replace Frankie's current source of power for himself and the Sunny. It will be able to fly for 2 miles now, question mark. I don't know if Vega, because Vegapunk seems surprised. Maybe he was like surprised, oh, somebody else had thought of this, but I feel like he was surprised, like, Cola, how the hell does that work? So I don't know. It's ambiguous, but I think that's really cool. He said, I'm sorry, come again? Like, what? Like, it could be something, though. I think that's hilarious.
I heard that in the Bozy.
Did somebody did Dill actually added it to the soundboard?
I hate my crew, guys.
Yo, Dak said, here's my question.
Can I join the VC?
VC?
Of course, Dak. Hop into any VC GLA and we'll pull you in.
No, we'll move you. No worries.
Rose Sconce asks, do you think we will go straight to Elbath, or will we get split up to other islands? Ooh. I hope that we go straight to Elbath. I could see there being some kind of intermediate between Egghead and Elbath. I do not think Oda will split the Straw Hats up again.
What
God, guys. We've just been joined by Dax Sake.
The second you said yes, I clicked it. Like, at least when I heard it, I was ready. I figured the answer would be yes, and I was prepared.
Let's go.
How y'all doing, though? Oh, wow, we asked the same question. I'm doing good, man. I just finished like a preview for my next video.
Uh-oh.
So that's good. It's about Lodestar, so I'm real excited for that. But Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but how y'all
checked out
doing?
your Willow D video. It was good stuff. We've been killing it, bro. We're like an hour and a half deep into like 1119 SBS discussions. We just got a question. I'm sorry, what was it asking? It was do you think we'll go straight to Elbaf or go to other islands? And I know you have you're on Team Sphinx, right, Jack?
Yes, firmly on Team Sphinx. Very brief stop.
Cube
like it's not going to be a hell yeah, Cube. But, hey, great minds think alike.
Exactly.
It's not going to be like a big arc. It's going to be Zoe or maybe even shorter than Zoe. But I think it's just necessary, man. We got to see those graves with the logistics of it all. This is the time. So it's got to happen.
I'm on a different team. I'm on Team Hachinosu. I think that we're going to get a reverse impel down here type of situation, like Marineford type of situation where Luffy and the crew slide for Garp. I don't know. Like, I feel like that. I don't know. I think that like if not all the Blackbeard crew are there, and like this is like the first taste of the Straw Hats actually having a reason to consider them like final villain status and things like that. Because right now we don't have like a solid reason for that entirely for the whole crew. I think this would be really interesting, but I've been holding on to that for like a year now. Like I feel like I was like, we're definitely not going straight to Elbaf. Like I think we need to go get Garp. Like Garp is not unalived. He's still around for a reason. And like the government's not going to do anything. We need the Straw Hats. Like, so that's where I'm at. But does anyone else think that they might be going anywhere else before Elbaf?
I have a rebuttal for the Hachinosu thing, but if anyone else has any other islands, go first before I talk about it, because Hachinosu is obviously going to continue to be relevant in some way. But, well, if no one else has an idea, I guess I'll just say the thing with Hachinosu, or with Garp, is that I don't think Luffy's going to give a damn about him being in trouble, because, like, he is a Marine. He has, like, the Marines as, like, his friends to help him and all that stuff. So, like, I don't think Luffy's going to hear that Garp got captured and be like, oh, I need to go over there, because even when Ace got captured, he wasn't worried. Like, he wasn't worried till he saw the Vykthor card burning away. And so I just think Garp is like a whole different thing where like if he didn't go after Ace right away, then I'm just thinking like he's not going to care about Garp at all, really. Like, because he's just going to assume like, okay, that's Grandpa. He's always been so strong and invincible. You know what I mean? Like, he's never been able to really do anything to Garp like his whole life. Like Garp even, had hockey and like hurt him when he was rubber, and we saw that like in post Annie's lobby. So it's just like Garp is kind of built up to be this almost like unbeatable kind of guy to Luffy. Like he's like, it would be hard for him to like be worried, I guess. But with that being said, I also agree with something you said where like the Marines aren't going to care because the Marines want Garp dead. So I think that,
pretty much. Yeah,
like Sengoku even said like they've been trying to get rid of him for years, but he's just like, so he's the hero of the Marines, so they can't. But I do think, like, obviously the Sword members or Sengoku or, like, Smoker, like, that section of the Marines might care. But I think what's going to happen is he's going to get sold to Cross Guild, and then all those Marines that do care are going to go do their own thing and try to get him from Cross Guild, because Sengoku's already been tied to the Cross Guild, sort of, with, like, the T-Bone thing. And, like, now he obviously, like, left. He's, like, sailing somewhere. So whatever way it breaks down, Hachinosu is definitely going to be, relevant, or at least Blackbeard's actions with Garp are going to be relevant. But I don't know. I can't see the Straw Hats worrying too much.
The way that I saw it, I was just like, okay, clearly Oda is putting down figures in front of Blackbeard's like, destructive past to try to like poke at the Straw Hats. Like, I think you and I are both under the theory that he's probably going to go and like mess with Wano on like a and there's going to be like some beef for Pluton as far as the Blackbeard crew's agenda, but they're not operating as like a solid crew. Like, there are different cells and different like squads and different like people who have their own proficiencies executing different parts of different plans and whatnot. So, but with like Rayleigh, I thought, and Rayleigh's my top one, but I was like, oh my goodness. Like, as soon as I saw Rayleigh step in front of Blackbeard, I was like, oh my goodness, is this how they get the Straw Hats mad enough to actually care about Blackbeard? And then we got like the Kube stuff, and I was like, is this how? And then we got like the law stuff, and I was like, is this how? And like the only really not resolved thing at this point is Garp. So I'm probably still Cope and like just holding on to a theory that's like over a year old. But like they have to at some point actually care about Blackbeard in that like final villain type of vibe. You know what I mean? And I think this is the strongest candidate we have to fill that, to fill that kind of like motive.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the other part of it is that, I don't think it's time for Luffy and Blackbeard to fight, or like, you know what I mean? Like that like inspiration or like urgency to do that can always happen like at Laugh Tale, or like if Blackbeard gets all the road poneglyph rubbings, or Blackbeard even maybe needs one from Luffy. Like there's a lot of ways where like that conflict can kind of start. And so that's kind of my thing, is like I can't see, like a legit fight happening right now, because it's just like we still have 4 total Yonko left. You know what I mean? Like they got to narrow it down a little more, I think. Like Blackbeard should fight Shanks first.
All 4 Yonko like at the final war, like or at least like I don't know. I think that'd be cool for me, but I don't know if I really have anything to like confirm my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
we did have another question from Growth Stonks in the chat, though. They were saying, which Vegapunk do you think will survive this arc? I think we have 3 still up and running, and I know 3 Day has a great theory that Edison is still up and running, but just disconnected from the like whole
I completely
web,
agree with that.
So like of the 4, which of them do you think would survive?
Well, I'm going to go against the grain and say that the Stella is going to find a way to survive. Is that going to be his actual body, being like resuscitated, or is that going to be like his brain, issuing like a projection? So there's like a hologram of Vegapunk, that's like that like Punk Records is creating or whatever. I'm not really sure what it's going to be, but that's where I'm at. Is I think the Stella, and I think. Because there's a couple other layers, is like for the satellites. I mean, like, so while I agree that Edison's still alive, because they said like a couple chapters ago, like only 2 are alive, but we didn't see Edison die, which I was like, what in the world? Like, no way you're going to skip over that. So we definitely need an explanation there. But he's obviously like on death's door a little bit. Like he already blew up earlier in the arc, and now he's all bandaged and stuff, right? So he's very close. And then Atlas last chapter, when Atlas was like, yeah, I'll go take care of whoever, I was like, okay, well, you're dead. like that's
it's
you're
like
done.
In the horror movie when it's like, oh, let me go downstairs and see what that noise was with no weapons in hand. Like, like, no, don't do it.
Yep. Yep, you're dead. It's like you totally just know it. Yeah, like the instant I saw that, I was like, well, Oda just gave that away. So it's Lilith or Stella.
For Stella. Yeah, I'm also coping for Stella until the day of the story confirms otherwise. And I've heard a lot of people saying Lilith. I think that Atlas will bump into another figure that intervenes, and we'll get like the fake out, like the scare that like, oh, are they, aren't they, kind of like, and then we'll get the resolution. For me, Lilith was the first one that most of the Straw Hats met. Like the whole like Zoro Nami like showdown with Lilith when they first showed up, and Shaka was like, hey, cool it. Like you're toast if you act right now. But like with Bonnie, Chopper, Jinbei, and Luffy, the first one they met was Atlas, and Atlas even gave Luffy food, and I think that means something. Everyone's like, Lilith's the first one they met. No, Lilith and Atlas are both the first ones they met. And I really think that there is a version of the story where both of them survive in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I could see something like that. I just think, I think it might be more likely that, like, Lilith, by being the first one they met, she'll be the last one to die as, like, a final... Because, like Stussy was kind of like, I'm going to stay behind and manage these lasers, and, like, I'm going to kind of sacrifice myself so everyone can leave, was, like, the idea. I think Lilith is going to have a similar situation. Like, not exactly with, like, the lasers, but... Maybe Lilith will, know that she's like the final chance for them to actually escape, so she'll be the last one to go. And then I don't know what happened after that. But it's just like, for me, if we presume that only one's gonna make it, I feel like the Stella has to be it, because it's just like you know, it like the other 6 are kind of even in the sense they're all satellites, where the Stella's like the OG, like the most important one. So I'm just like, if one's gonna make it.
Yeah, I want to see like a Voltroning of all of them together, because with Atlas, when she originally got like damaged, they introduced the organoids, and like they're like, oh yeah, we can be repaired, like as you know, like as long as there's like this much. It's like, so it's like, you know, in DBZ when Cell could like regenerate, as long as there was like this much of them that was still around. Like I think it'd be so cool if they just kind of like Frankenstein's monstered together and like made like a Voltron type thing, and this is like I'm Super Stella or so, I don't know, like that's like crazy
docking situation.
Oda has exactly.
My dream for the Vegapunks is, and it's what we were introducing Punk Hazard, law change, switching people's personality. I've always said, what if at the end of Egghead they'll all become one, and there'll be this gag of, you know, there'll be the actual Vegapunk, but also all the other personalities gag, just, you know, a bit like Deadpool. Inner voices jumping in and, you know, became the expert. Yeah. I'm back. Pythagoras is back. What do you need me for? That type of situation.
I mean, I do think it's interesting that like in the broadcast, like we were seeing the Vegapunks that had already died, right?
Exactly.
And so I almost wonder if like because like, you know how they all connect to Punk Records, I almost wonder if that's like where they go back to when they do die. And so now like all their consciousnesses are in there. So like all of them will make it, but maybe it's just like we only get holograms of them all, maybe through Punk Records, so they're all technically alive, like their souls are, but
and they're all Vegapunks. Think about it, they're all Vegapunks, and what did Dr. say? As long as you're remembered, your name is remembered, you don't die. So they could be like this fine line of all of them being like, so this all of them being just one, and it could really be a funny gag, you know. The smartest man has this like big fork, you know.
Yeah, the real question is, do we think that York is actually surviving and becoming a celestial dragon after all of this?
Oh, hell no. No, not this celestial dragon.
No,
God, I hope
she's joining Blackbeard. It's happening. And then so York is going to try to become a celestial dragon because Blackbeard wants to take over the world and everything, so she can still have a chance at that by, you know, riding with Teach instead. Because like the government probably won't want her if they don't keep the Mother Flame or Punk Records, because then she's like not as useful, right? So part of me is thinking like maybe the Mother Flame blows up, or just, you know, Punk Records escapes like with the Straw Hats or whatever, and then they're kind of like, well, screw you, like, you know, you're no use to us anymore. But then Blackbeard will be like, hey, I mean, you're probably still pretty smart, you know, like let's, you know, can you at least make Seraphim? And she'll be like, yep. And then I don't know, something like that. But
so this is just against the Gorosei point, but I still think that their reason for wanting to keep York is because they could just have the Vegapunk knowledge on tap, essentially. So I think that's where it's going to come to. It's going to be her toss up of, do I side with the Gorosei or do I side with Blackbeard?
Yeah, I think it's a little tough because. Go ahead, Vex. You kept chiming in and you didn't chime in right away, so I was like, all right, I'll go. But no, you go.
You're good. I wanted to like just say really quick. It's like the foil of like Vegapunk's dream is to share infinite knowledge with everybody. The Gorosei are like the erasure squad who, like, we can assume have been like propagandizing for hundreds of years. So it would make the most sense if they took that infinite knowledge and kept it completely sealed away for themselves. But go ahead, Dak. Sorry.
What I was gonna say was, as far as like York and the Gorosei, they said like we want all three, the Mother Flame, York, and Punk Records, because York can access Punk Records, and thus she'll be on the same tier as Vegapunk essentially through that. And then by keeping the power source, she can make more like Mother Flame attacks or whatever to use. And she even said, like, as long as we have the original one, I can keep making more Mother Flames, because she can like take part of it out or whatever. And so, so I guess what I'm thinking is, like, if they lose the big Mother Flame and Punk Records, then I think we already know that York can't recreate it, especially without Punk Records at her disposal. So I think if they don't have the other two, then I think they're kind of stuck. Like York, they'll just be like, well, like, you're too dangerous because, like, you know stuff and you can't help us as much. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. While we are speaking on the Gorosei loosely, we had $4.99 super chat from Straw Hat Kufi. First time super chatter. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. It says chances that NoChillDill created sword. I think
0.
very slim.
I was joking. Sorry.
It's that, like, I don't know. We could see some. No, you're fine. We could see some, like, some people like flip it. Ever there's been ties to, like, or hints at maybe there's a traitor in the Gorosei, or like if the admirals are gonna flip side. We did get that art from Akainu like forever ago, where he's got like a sword tattoo and like a bunch of bonsai trees around him and stuff like that. But like, I don't think that we are gonna get somebody that high up who is directly tied to sword.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Also, his personality, just from what we've seen until now, is like he is the absolute justice of the Gorosei. So it's like it's a hard sell for me right now. NoChillDill.
Yeah. So we really appreciate that first time super chat. That means like so much. And I've been seeing you vibe in the chat this whole time, Strike Kufi. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate it. Then we had we kind of already answered like 3 days question in the chat a little bit, talking about like a Voltron Stella maybe, which would be so cool. Gross Stonks asked another question: if Stella dies, will his fruit also reincarnate, or does it not happen since his brain isn't dead? I think that, yeah, like I think the main Stella body is like another satellite basically, and like, you know, they did studies to figure out where that 21 grams is, like where the soul is actually weighted, and I'm pretty sure homie would have put that in Punk Records. So as many of his satellite bodies that fall, that's not going to spark the reincarnation of his devil fruit. I think you got to find that 21 grams, right?
Yeah. And there's a moment in Egghead I've always said it was very weird. Before Stella went to protect Bonnie, before we got a reveal of Bonnie's age, they were saying that we have to protect the main Vegapunk. But then when Stella went, it was a hassle, but they didn't seem to be that preoccupied about Stella going in at first. So it kind of makes you think of the body they were talking about was not Stella's body. It was another body that no one knows about, the actual Vegapunk,
See, that's where I've been at this whole time, is that originally, at least, I thought that was not Vegapunk's true body, especially since we saw him phase into the Iron Giant. We saw holograms on Egghead around the same time as well. But once the message started and he said that this is triggered, basically the message is triggered when his body dies, right? So even if that's not his main body, it's the body that was connected to triggering that message. But that said, I do think
I
there's
think it's
out there.
With this being like a scientific island and there being all of these MacGuffins and things that are loosely or only like very tertiarily like explained, and we're just supposed to believe in the absurdity and like, oh yeah, it's basically magic. Like, like there's just so much that we will never really get solid understanding on here at Egghead, that I feel like it's so open-ended. It could be anything, you know what I mean? Until we get that revealing panel, if we ever get that. But I fully subscribe that like he found that 21 grams. Like there's a reason he brought it up. He knows exactly where the soul is and what it is. And through that, maybe he put it in the Iron Giant. Maybe he put it in Punk Records. Maybe he hid it at the bottom of the ocean or something like that, where like, no devil fruit user would really be able to get to it. And like, if he thought that the Gorosei were devil fruit users, which I don't think much of us think, but still like maybe like, because if he were to put his soul way down there, but his body was still not submerged, would he still be able to use his devil fruit? I think, yeah, right? Like, I don't know, it's like,
all about density.
Like that's why
Oda answered that
you have to
it's
be
about
half
density.
submerged.
Yeah, it's about density of water.
It's about how submerged you are. So like, maybe it's like, maybe if you put your 21 grams in your shoe and the water is only ankle deep, are you going to be toast as a devil fruit user? Is it like, is that and maybe it's because like it's closer to your center of gravity is why you have to be that much submerged before it takes you out. You know what I mean? So who knows? Like there's still so much that is like not fully confirmed and very loosely understood. I feel like it could be anything,
I do want Jack's thoughts on the Vega Cola. take.
Yeah, give me 1 second, guys. I sadly have to go. My kids are acting a fool. I need to help my wife. If one of you guys could end the stream whenever you guys wrap up, I would really appreciate it. Dak, thank you for hopping in with us too. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you for letting me slide in.
Yeah. You guys continue cooking, and I will see the crew later.
Bye.
Peace,
Catch you later, man.
Ed.
Best of luck. About the 21 grams thing real quick. I think a lot of what you guys said is interesting because I haven't really considered much that like Vegapunk actually moved it, because my interpretation so far is that he doesn't know about it. Like he knows that it exists, but he doesn't know how it works or like the ins and outs of it. And I think that whole idea about the 21 grams is also going to tie to the ancient power source that he also didn't really understand yet. Like the robot is probably running on like a 21 grams of soul type situation, and that's how it's still alive and how he doesn't get it. And I think that also ties to Kuma, because remember how he was like confused on like, okay, like Kuma, like your human body should be like, you know, in a vegetative state at this point. Your robot body shouldn't even be operating at this point. How are you moving? I think we're seeing like the example of how the ancient robot came to be, in that you're turning a living thing that has the 21 grams of soul in it into a robot. So now you have a robot running on like a human soul at that point. And I think that's basically the story of like how that works. But now in regards to the devil fruit and what that means, I think that's a whole other can of worms that I'm pretty lost on, honestly, just because like the fact Punk Records is still working still baffles me a little bit, because like you would think it would shut down. Like if your body shuts down, like your brain also stops, but obviously that's not what's happening here. And so it makes me wonder, like, is the 21 grams of soul just in your brain normally? And like maybe Vegapunk didn't even know that or whatever. He just sort of stumbled into it, and that's why like it still has the fruit, is like that's where that is like stored in some way, which to me like the heart would make more sense. But you know, I'm not really sure, because wherever the 21 grams is, I feel like it's like I don't think you can move it without like dying, essentially. Like if you were to take your 21 grams out of your body, I think your body would just be done, but like your will would still be in existence. And I think that's how devil fruits exist, probably.
So I do have an idea on the 21 gram.
I was just gonna say really quick, with like the op fruit or like the soru like or something like that. Like I feel like there's definitely ways to mess with like like I feel like he had gotten to the point where he was able to replicate like devil fruit powers through technology. I think that it's feasible that, like, you know, maybe if, like, even with the automata that we saw on the moon and at at Vegapunk's like home island with Dr. Tsukimi and stuff like that, like those things were like robots, but they had like their own sentience and things like that as well. So I was like, did somebody at some point, even maybe before Vegapunk, like in the ancient kingdom, figure out how to mass produce this 21 grams type of whatever the soul is or something like that? But I think there's definitely a way in technology to manipulate it if technology has gotten so close to devil fruits, and devil fruits definitely could, like with the, at least with the op and like the soul, you know what I mean? Sorry, go ahead, Cube.
Yeah, so I like what you guys are saying, but I've always found interesting is the people who were with Luffy and Bonnie when Cell was saying that Jinbei and Chopper. And the only guy that we know from the West Blue that is in medical field is Dr. Hogback. And if you look back on both Jinbei and Chopper, both said some interesting things to Hogback. Jinbei made the connection of how it seems that his power loses when there's salt in his shadows. He loses all his powers. The shadow loses their power. And Chopper said that he read all of Dr. Hogback's medical journal. So if it's indeed that going back to Dr. Hogback, I'm wondering if the location of the 21 gram might connect to shadows. Because that's what Dr. Hogback was doing.
And they did say the shadow's like the second soul, right? Like I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like probably a reflection of the 21 grams, because like it like contains your will or your personality, which I honestly am starting to think that personality is more of the way of thinking about this soul thing than like will, because Remember, like when Luffy was training hockey with Rayleigh, and they were like, and Luffy said, "Well, like the way I'll react to this depends on their personality." And Rayleigh's like, "I have never heard that before. Like that is very interesting." And I think that's a sign that like, because like whenever people like your shadow was put into a zombie, they acted like the person, right? Like Oars put like like the triangle thing on his head, and like the
And
the
Shinji,
Sanji, the Sanji one was like protecting Nami and stuff like that, right? So like your personality, like is will very closely related or maybe the same? Yes, but I think personality might even be more appropriate just because that's like particular to you. And I wonder if there is just, some, I don't even know, some mechanism here with like Shadows is a good example, but I wonder if there's like an internal version of that is like, the equivalent, like for this 21 grams of soul, where maybe you could take that out and put it into a different body. But like, I don't think that would be, I think that whatever that process is going to be like crazy. Like maybe that's what Emu's devil fruit is. And like Emu's the only one or something like that. Cause like the Appa fruit or like the soul fruit, like the soul fruit seems to be like lifespan instead of the actual 21 grams, which they seem to be different. Because like the 21 grams, like that's when you die, it's, you lose the whole 21. It's not like you're exhausting that 21 throughout your life, where the time where your lifespan is a thing that you're kind of exhausting throughout your life, and then you hit 0 and you're dead. So I think there's kind of a difference there. And then I guess the last thing I'll just add on real quick is I think that the 21 grams is like the cloud that we saw Brook as whenever he died. And so I think we have an idea of what it looks like already. Like it's, some just little floaty, mysterious thing.
I get that. I only really brought up the soul fruit because of the creation of homies as opposed to like the manipulation of your own like life. I completely forgot like of that part of it, but like just being able to like grant sentience to inanimate objects that would not have a soul, and then for them to now have a soul, and for that to, as far as we know, persist even after your demise, but not confirmed in that sense really, but like we do still have Zeus around, is like I don't know if they're just dishing out like a free 21 grams to all of these like lollipops and bushes and trees and stuff in the Seducing Woods, or if that's just like some sort of like a paling comparison, you know what I mean? But that was like the main reason I brought it up. It's really interesting. I feel like we could cook a whole stream on that, like, though, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, for sure. Like,
we did have another question. Go ahead,
real quick, Vex, just real quick, because I just thought of a really good thought, but then definitely cut me off because, like you said, we can talk about this all day. But one thing, real quick, zone fruits, how you can give an inanimate object a zone fruit and then it's like alive. I think that's a pretty good parallel for the Big Mom homie situation. And we know that zone fruits have a will of their own, so that like begs the question, like, okay, do they all have their own 21 grams, or what do you mean there exactly? So and Brook was able to like free those souls out of the chest keepers, but he couldn't do it to like the main homies with Big Mom's soul, or he can't do it to like humans, obviously. So there's definitely some weaving of these things together that Oda is going to have to explain at some point.
To tie that back to what we were talking about with Thriller Bark and the shadows, I think it's like a Zoan fruit. If you're awakening it and you're unable to have the stronger will than whatever will might be in the fruit, like if then you get overtaken and you become like jailer beasts or whatever. Like I feel like that could have been like the same thing with the shadows, is like the stronger soul prevails. And that's why Sanji was able to do what he was able to do through his shadow being put into another thing. But it's like, who knows? It could be like, so that's crazy. And my mind is going so many different places on it.
This could explain why Vegapunk was obsessed with those recreating life. What if that was the easiest way to recreate certain shadows? Like to create the path to have a shadow, like for the Seraphims as well. He couldn't just create it like giving those powers, create the devil. Maybe he needed to create life before recreating the powers to recreate the shadows.
That's crazy. I'm just so happy with how much of this has tied back to Thriller Bark, because as you all know, that's my top tier. That's my peak right there. We love it. We had another question though posed by Growth Stonks asking if it's possible if Emu could be Joy Boy's desire satellite. I don't really see that necessarily. I think that because Emu is something that predates, like they were one of the original 20 from the information that we got from the greatest One Piece theorist Ivankov, right? Like, so I don't know what happened to Emu to put them into the position that they were now, but before all of this, at least somebody holding that name was already established in the story, separate from Joy Boy, right?
Yeah. I agree with pretty much what you just said. Like I'm not. I know a lot of people talk about like Emu having satellites, like the Gorosei or Emu satellites or something, and I know that Gross Song saying Joy Boy's satellite, but I personally I don't really. I think the only satellite that's like that explicit is going to be Vegapunk's. Like I don't think there's going to be another system where like people break up their personality into different pieces. Like I think that I don't think Oda's going to keep reusing that. I think that like both Joy Boy and Emu just like found their own crews. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
like that. And I think that fits into the whole story better. But go ahead.
Yeah, there was a point where we could take like anything that's happening in the current chapters and things like that and be like, oh, this could be a microcosm of this huger event that could be, I feel like we're just so close to the end of story now that like we can't really be thinking with that same like level of like grandiose where we're just like, oh yeah, this, like, I think this is what we've been building up to versus this is build up for more future. Like I think this is
great way to
as
put
big
it.
as this trope gets. Yeah. We had another question from the lovely 3-day trip. This one is for specifically Dak Sake. Will you do another video on how popular One Piece is before we get season 2 of One Piece live action? Because the first one you did was one of my favorites, and One Piece is even more popular now. Great question.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a lot because like that like talking about like the growth of the community and like not just like our community like on YouTube or just the internet, but I mean like in that video I talked about how like NFL players are wearing straw hat stuff, like Dua Lipa was wearing a straw hat dress, like I can't remember. There's a lot of examples. Like Zion Williamson wore a One Piece something or other. And so obviously like the hype is building. So I really love doing that video, and I do want to do another one. I guess the main thing I need to think of is just, like the new, like obviously I can talk about the live action success and like the mangas continue to grow and all that, but like I kind of want to get some more like celebrity type appearances, which like I could say, like One Piece was on the Sphere in Las Vegas, which is cool, and there's some other things, but I guess I'm still stacking up new things like that, but no, 3D, I definitely do want to do one because especially before season 2, since One Piece has grown so much, and I think we're pretty much, like I said in my last video, but it's even more true now, where we're getting to a point to where like everyone is going to hear about One Piece whether they want to or not, and by the time it ends it's going to be just a massive cultural phenomenon, and I definitely want to talk about that again because that one like reached a big new audience for me on YouTube. Like a lot of people saw that who didn't watch, many of my other videos. So I kind of want to reach that same audience again and just be like, like guys, like if you haven't watched, you're missing out. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to.
I have a question for you, Dak.
Oh yeah.
If they're gonna ask someone to voice for that character for the season 2, if he's gonna appear in Alabasta, would you be willing to voice the Dirt Boss? Obviously, I think it would make sense that you're the one who has to voice it.
Oh man, hey, Randy, if you're listening, just call me up, all right? Like it look, or even better, because the Dirt Boss I think just made noises. I don't think he ever really talked, but Tanjit's son Rintoto, who is non-canon, he's only in the anime, but I'm gonna just I'm just going to consider him canon for now. Tanjit's son at Long Ring Longland is a champion hole digger, and he has a mole, like with a bunch of O's, because it's a long mole, like a snake like mole, and that's what helps him dig the holes that are like championship holes. And he even goes under the water, like he was traveling point to point at Long Ring Longland, going under the water, just like I talk about with Pluton doing. So if Rentoto is going to be in live action, I'll be the actor. I've never acted before. I'll figure it out. Randy, trust me. You probably don't even have to pay me. Just pay for my flight to South Africa.
They got to do a one-off, like a spin-off, and do like Gaimon, and like I need voicing him if he's like full CGI.
Dude. Oh no, please. If Gaimon ever makes his way into the story somehow in live action, Randy, hit me up. Matt Owens, if you're watching, hit me up. Whoever it takes. I'll go all the way to the top. Oda, if you're watching, you know what to do.
We actually confirmed earlier in the stream, Oda definitely watches our streams.
100%.
Yeah, it's undisputable fact. He has to. There's no other way.
Hey, wait, real quick before you go to the next question. I have a question for everybody.
Let's go.
And in 3 day, if you want me to reveal some of the ins and outs of this that you and I have talked about in DM, I will. But I don't know if you want me to keep it a secret because you're going to be cooking on it or not. But I think you guys have probably talked about this earlier. But the traitor of the D clan type idea from a few chapters ago. What do you guys think about Law being the traitor to the D clan?
I did just watch your video on this, so I'm a little bit swayed and biased on that. I think I'm gonna agree with you quite a bit. Although, like, Law is like my favorite, but I like the that you put it would be like an unintentional, like. Not like somebody who's like a direct traitor, but somebody who's like circumstantially opposed to like what was put down back in ancient times, just based off of like the current landscape of things. But
he doesn't think it'll work.
Pretty much am aligned with you. Exactly.
Yeah, because when we've kind of seen that, like if you go to Curry, like in Wano, like when the food was getting taken there, and he was like mad at Zoro because he's like, you're gonna like draw attention to us, like it's a good thing, and like I'm not gonna deny that you're helping people, but you're ruining our plan. That's a greater good, And I think it's the same kind of thing. Like let's say, for example, the D clan's goal was to feed the world, which I honestly wouldn't be shocked if that was it. And if that was it, then it's like. Law has already kind of shown like feeding people's okay. You just can't do it and ruin the overarching plan. And I could definitely see a world where he like learns about it first and steps in and, like messes with everything. But the thing is 3 day had a lot of good evidence for this also, even beyond what I said in my video. So I've become like completely convinced.
Yeah, you can definitely say it.
Okay, cool. Well,
before you pop off though, I wanted to mention like you talking about what if the D clan's like whole message was to feed the world and stuff like that. I was like, what if the D actually stands for just like a pot belly the whole time?
Oh my god!
Hey, that would be funny.
So, Dak, just before you jump, before you pop off, Dak, I want to tell you, thank you for putting that question in front of Vex. I'm just so happy you did that in front of Vex.
Because you like Law? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's his guy.
I'm like the biggest Law glazer in Cube's eyes. He's not even my favorite character. I just like I gotta.
He's the second favorite.
Whatever.
He's peak.
It's unimportant and irrelevant to the conversation if he is or isn't my second favorite character. He's just not my favorite. Okay.
Wait, who's number one, Vex?
Rayleigh.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you said that earlier.
Absolute peak is Rayleigh, best written character in my opinion.
But so one thing I want to say about the Law thing that 3 day told me, because I just think it's so, because it wasn't in my video, but Law's symbol and she tweeted about this before, but Law's Jolly Roger kind of looks like the ancient robot a little bit, like, you know what I mean, like with the teeth and just like because the robot has like they're not teeth, but they kind of look like teeth a little bit. There's like straight lines. Like it's like he has long top teeth kind of and no actual bottom teeth. and that's kind of how Law's symbol works. And then something else we've been talking about is that Law's Jolly Roger also looks like a nuclear power symbol, like a nuclear energy warning type thing, like radiation warning. And submarines run on nuclear power, right? Or like most of them, right? Or like the good ones. And and
The good one is great.
then there's I mean, I don't know about the Titan sub, you know, but I don't know. I'm just wondering if, I don't know, Law, like, because the robot was apologizing, and if Law really does have a tie to the robot in some way, like maybe Law will also be apologizing to Luffy in the future, like, I'm sorry I got in the way. I should have just trusted your stupid plans because they always work, even though my smart ones don't, you know? So yeah, I'm big on the Law as a traitor thing now. And I feel like that just makes him so interesting for the future. That's like that's maybe my biggest reason why I like it, is like his role becomes a lot better than just like losing or, you know, joining the Straw Hats, quote unquote, or like re-allying with them again. Like this makes him super duper interesting. So
He gets to learn the true meaning of the D clan, and he gets to actually fulfill that role set up for him, in a sense.
Yep. That, like, he's gonna find it out first, which is his goal, and he's gonna ruin it. You know, like that. Man, like Oda, you have a chance to cook so hard because Blackbeard's so obvious, you know, like he's already evil. Like whether he's the traitor or not, it doesn't change his role. You know what I'm saying? Like we already know he's probably going to try ruining Luffy's plans or the D's plans because he wants his own goals. Like it does, you know what I mean? Like who cares really? Like the Law being the traitor, like that's a whole new thing. So
don't you think there's something that always bothered me? On people who are not world government affiliated, people who easily like attach to Luffy, a lot of them, but there's a huge minority of them who are extremely naive. The giants in Enies Lobby, who are just believing that they would do it during Roger were captured and they're making a deal for them. Same thing with Mazukama 100 years ago. The Tontanas, even allies, Leo, believing for B. Vincent because he's so naive. With what you're saying with Law, what if like, you know how people are so obsessed with certain information? What if like the assumption that he gets that makes him betray is because he's too naive, he's too desperate to understand, and he's basically explaining in ways that it makes it seem like Joy Boy or Luffy is the enemy, like he's being naive at that moment.
Yes,
gullible.
No, I completely agree. Like because like we saw Luffy destroy Fishman Island in Chiarli's prophecy, right? And I'm just imagining a scenario where like Law could learn about the Will of D and learn like Joy Boy is gonna come back and destroy the world. It's like the general message, but obviously maybe it would mean like destroy the world as it is because it's gonna become right again. Like we're gonna destroy the red line. You know what I'm saying? Like he could just misinterpret like, oh, okay, Luffy is dangerous. I need to get in the way of his plans. And then later it's like, dude, you like come on, you know him better than that. Like you're stupid for thinking like I would love for Law to have a coming to Jesus moment a little bit where like you think too hard, dude. Like you gotta stop. You gotta go off the vibes. You know, like my GM at Chipotle, one of the best lessons she ever told me was like, you know, like and not that this is like a big time psychology lesson, but she was like, you know, there's two types of people in the world. There's thinkers and there's feelers. And she was like, Dak, you're definitely a thinker, so I'm gonna put you over here. But you need to work on feeling. She was way nicer about it. She was very kind. But Law is a thinker. He's not a feeler. Luffy is not a thinker, but he's a feeler. You know what I'm saying? So Law needs to figure out like, man, you're trying a little too hard, basically.
I think it really makes sense is that like we see Luffy and Blackbeard, both D-Clan members, as two flip sides of kind of the same coin and foils to each other and parallels in so many different ways. And when you see the way that the world and like this old reaction piece that we've been getting for like the past like handful of chapters is that people do still see Luffy and Blackbeard in pretty much identical light. They're both Yonkos. They're both pirates. They're both people who do despicable, disgusting things because that's what, you know, the common folk believe of the world and things like that. And Trafalgar Law was like known as the Surgeon of Death, who dropped 200 pirate hearts down and be, you know, allied with the world government before, you know, everything, and like was integral in like the Rocky Port incident, which may or may not be public knowledge, but that's what let Kube become the hero of the people. So like for Law to be seen much more positively than either Luffy or Blackbeard in the story right now. It'd be really interesting as well for that to be something that's juxtaposed, and him being the traitor, for lack of a better term, of the D clan. Is we have these two like paramount figures that are like pivotal in the end game of the story in Luffy and Teach, and for it to not be either of those it's such an Oda thing to do, and I kind of love that.
Well, if you think about it too, Law broke the law of blood when he was with Dofi's crew. He literally stabbed Corazon in the back. If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is.
Yeah. So glad you said that, because just 2 seconds, just real quick. 3D, I'm glad you said that, because also there's a ton of parallels between Doflamingo and like Emu. Like, the panel where like the people are like kneeling down to Doflamingo, and then like we have like an identical panel where the Gorosei are kneeling down to Emu. It's like very similar circumstances between Doflamingo and Emu in that regard. And so for Law to stab Corazon in the back, which could maybe be a tie to something in the origins of Emu and the Gorosei and matter in this big scheme of things. Like, I don't know. There's so much there. Like, I need it. I need it.
And also, there's actually an interesting twist of Law with that situation is the reason the most of the story in post-Tansing started is because Law introduced that to Luffy. You could say the same thing. Like, the big stuff that we talk about in pre-time skip is mostly Alabasta. That's a big major thing. Who's going to introduce that to Luffy? Vivi. We know with the ancestor of Vivi, Lily, the way how Emu is upset with it. What if in this instance for post-time skip, Law is on Joy Boy? Emu has an issue with Lily, and Joy Boy had an issue with a certain member, but like goes back to like the Law, the one who Law inherited the will. If it's a cycle as well. So there is a bit as well that that's how
it's also in the same chapter. Oops, sorry, it's just always it's in the same chapter as when Corazon explained the will of D, and then he got accused for a second time by Baby 5 of breaking the law of blood again. So I think he broke the law of blood, not technically family, but between the Water Clan and the D Clan. And then they took a neutral stance during the Void Century, during the war, and they didn't fight on anybody's side. That's why they're a traitor.
I'm curious what you guys think the water name means, or what the origin of it is. Like is it simply a family that was named Water and they were like the anti-D clan, and then Law is like, like a child of both of those families merged into one, or is it something like they adopted? Like, I don't know.
Not blood. I don't think it has to do with the blood family.
At the heart of it all. Yeah, above story. Like in our world, in IRL, we know metatextually that it's a joke made by Oda, because Waterloo and like the Battle of Trafalgar and the Battle of Waterloo, and it's like very Napoleonic themed and stuff like that. But like within the context of the story, I've heard a few different ideas, and I think that all of them are good, and I don't have like super strong opinions on it in any which way, but we do know that blood is thicker than water, so I don't know, just to keep on like that.
Hey, I like that.
Also, like we were talking about Waterloo, the inspiration for Law's name with the Napoleon. It's not just any war; it's the battle that basically stopped France from dominating Europe. That battle literally handicapped the French kingdom back then. So it's like, I'm wondering if like Law was instrumental,
because we didn't even know about too much. Like, but the Battle of Trafalgar was like huge in the history of that as well. In the same way, it was the battle that immediately preceded that, like Waterloo, and so it's like it's really interesting to speculate. I do want to real quick. We're spitting, and I'm going to stay on topic. I just have to shout out to 2 more super chats that we've gotten. One from Mr. Bushido 56, €2. He said he has a theory that Law joins Cross Guild and attacks Wano. I think that there is a case that any of these, former warlords join Cross Guild at this point. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't see a true motive. I definitely see no motive in him attacking Wano, because he already really was there and got the poneglyph, even though that was his etchings were taken from him. We got another 199 USD super chat from Straw Hat Kufi that did not actually say anything. So if you wanted to like put in the chat, like we'll answer a question. If you wanted to, Straw Hat Kufi, like let us know in the chat. We'll make sure we get to it. I'm trying to stay on top of the chat as much as we can, but we've just been spitting so much, you know. But put something in the chat. We'll make sure we prioritize reading that next. We appreciate your super chat again. But yeah, I'm somebody who could talk about Law for like a full stream. Trust me.
I mean, same, dude. Law is one of Oda's like best characters. Like obviously the Straw Hats are great, but Law was introduced so late, and like the impact he had, and like the different vibe he had from all the other main characters, and like I don't know, Oda just knocked it out of the park with Law, and like how Law like didn't really ever like being with the Straw, like he did, but he never said it or acted like it. You know, like he always like kind of scoffed at them a little bit. Like everything he did with Law, I thought was just amazing. So, yeah, I feel you.
Ooh, Mr. Bushido 56 with another €2 super chat that said water refers to the kingdom underneath water 7. I think that's really interesting. And then somebody else put, I think Straw Hat Kufi put in the chat something about maritime law, like water law, and I think that's hilarious as well. Like,
I learned something about Water 7. I was something that Dak said before, but then you guys were spitting. I was listening, I forgot. But I remember there was this old, like couple of years ago, I think it was like the COVID time. Someone had made a connection between how laws the what's called the face of law and also the flamingos symbol in the Jolly Rogers. If you look back at Water 7, they said it looks similar to some of how the train tracks are from the sea train around Water 7 and East Lobby, which made me think of, and that literally is an arc that's foreshadowing the flooding that we're talking about. So it was interesting fun when you're talking about Jolly Roger. And someone had made connection with those two Jolly Rogers with the train tracks of the sea train.
Yo, shout out to Desnus the Dwarf in the chat. What's up, fellow pirates?
Ooh.
Glad to see you, brother. I just saw you got good news over on your channel. Congratulations on that. You've been killing it lately. But appreciate you showing up. He said, quick question. Which microphones are you using? Cube, you just got a new mic. You know what kind you got?
I got the Blue Yeti.
Solid.
I got a Rode Pod mic. It's like a podcasting mic. It's an XLR one, so you have to like get an XLR cable, and I plug it into an audio interface specifically. So I don't think it's at all necessary, but I think I sound pretty crisp. You know, you do. No, you do. I have the Shure SM7B, which is like the ultimate standard podcasting mic. Like if most podcasts you watch, they'll have this microphone. I like with what Vex said, I have to do the XLR cable to interface thing. Like you can't use it otherwise. And it is a little bit expensive, but I'll be honest, for me it's worth it because kind of like right now I can like basically whenever I had the Blue Yeti mic, which like there's nothing wrong with it, like some of my biggest videos were with that mic, but sometimes I would have to like really fidget the mic around to position it in the right place and keep my mouth in the same place. Otherwise I would sound drastically different. Like it picks up a lot more echo and whatever else. But the Shure SM7B, I always get these terms confused. It's a condenser mic or it's not a condenser mic. I forget how that works, but it's like a different type of microphone than the Blue Yeti. And now whenever I talk, I'm able to literally just like whip the mic over like in pretty much any position and talk, and it sounds standard. Like I don't have to really, be too particular about my setup whenever I do it. So for me, it's way worth it because I can even like move myself around, like move my chair, and like I'll just try to keep the microphone like roughly the same distance, but it always sounds okay. So if you have the money, I recommend this one, but it's not necessary.
Condenser mics are solid. Like dynamic mics are better for like just like entry level budget and things like that. But if you're wanting to get like really crisp like broadcast quality and things like that, and have something that's like kind of future proof, Condenser mics are going to be a little bit more pricey, but they are more durable and more long lasting. And they just typically people who make them as a better quality, where you'll see a lot of like the cheaper stuff like on Amazon that like, you know, it's going to break in like 6 months, or like you'll see performance drag and things like that. In some of the cheaper, more like dynamic mics, you can find a good dynamic mic, but it's just like on average, condenser mics are just kind of a cut above.
Yep.
From
definitely.
the research that I've done.
I completely agree with that. There's probably like a time and place for dynamic mics, but if you're just like a talking head, you know, then like we are, like we're just sitting here at a desk talking, then I think you want the condenser.
Yeah, I've never got asked that question. So very excellent question. That was great.
I love equipment questions.
I just got a crazy like revamp setup at the turn of the year, and I haven't really got a lot of time to talk about it. But yeah, it's I don't know if there's anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about as far as the SBS or you know, about the chapters specifically. We didn't spend a whole lot of time, but we did start talking about 1119. I was in your reaction, so I know a lot of your first thoughts and stuff like that. But have you had a little bit more time to marinate on anything specifically?
Oh man, well, you know, I gotta just, you know, echo the truth that Topman's taken an L, you know, the worst Gorosei of the lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, my guy, the ancient robot, finally doing work. I've been talking about him fighting the Gorosei since like the start of the arc, I feel like. And for him to hit freaking Topman first and break off one of the horns, that just, I mean, that made my whole week. But I do think it's going to be permanent damage. So.
Yeah, I think I heard from a reaction piece that Laboon was very happy with this chapter.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I can confirm.
I'm not much of a power scaler myself, and I don't think you fancy yourself too much as one either, Dak. But since clearly you scale Laboon over Topman
easily,
do you scale Laboon over the ancient robot as well, or where does that like?
I mean, look, you saw as soon as the robot went in the water, man, you know, he started sinking. It's just if Laboon's in there, like if we're talking a water battle, I got Laboon all day. If we're talking on land, I mean, you know, what am I supposed to say? Like a beached whale's getting cooked. But if we're talking in the ocean,
there is no beach big enough.
Yeah. Like, look, I don't even know if the Sea Kings can take out Laboon. I'm gonna be real with you. All right, Laboon, come on, like. I need to see the scaling. You know, I don't even know if we really know, because I mean, if you could have an island inside of you, you got to be massive. You know, and just with like, I don't know, the way One Piece is, I would just imagine that Laboon is probably like one of the biggest or strongest of all the island whales. So, I mean, top 5 or 10, top 1 in the water.
I want to see Laboon versus Zunisha. It'll be like Roger versus Kaido versus Whitebeard.
Oh man! Oh,
imagine
that would hurt my soul,
class, bro. That'd be felt just like Mihawk and Mihawk and Shanks' fights.
Yeah, no, for real.
So hear me out. I'm gonna go down a crazy rabbit hole right now, but stay with me, guys. Okay, so minks are mammals, specifically mammals that have fur, right? Island whales are mammals as well. We don't know that there's any fur on them, but hear me out. If we were to able to get like a gigantic afro and put it on Laboon, he would be a mammal with fur. Could we see Sulong Laboon?
That is the One Piece.
Bro.
I mean,
Sulong Laboon is the One Piece.
Don't let me cook, y'all. I'm sorry.
Oh man. I mean,
like Electro from an island whale, and he just takes out like a whole blue in one flex. Like I don't know.
I'm gonna put it this way: that, you know, Sue Laboon might be a tough sell, but energy steroid Laboon. You know, because we already saw that with Fishman Island.
There we go.
I could see like a last resort. Laboon's trying to save Brook. Imagine a scenario where Laboon dies saving Brook. And oh man, I don't even want to think about that. No, Laboon's not dying. There's no chance.
Or Rumble Balls, like 3 days him.
No, but 3 days said in the chat, give Laboon about 50 Rumble Balls.
It's over. It's over if that happens.
Amazing.
Well, but something I brought up in my my last redacted video with Kev, which this is like complete headcanon for me. And Oda, if you don't do this, you messed up, just straight up. I need Laboon and the other island whales to carry all the Final War Alliance to the Goris, or like to Marijois. Like, so, because you know how like in Marineford, they all came up from under the water, and obviously like Whitebeard has like whale ships, right? The Moby Dick. So I need in the Final War, Laboon and everyone else is carrying all the allies within them, and all the whales show up at the last second because the world's going to be flooded, right? Imagine the government looks out like over the world after the flooding happens, and they're like, all right, it's over. We won again. Like, let's start rebuilding, you know, whatever, like we did 800 years ago. And then all the whales come up from the ocean, and they all like open their mouths, and it's just pirates in all of them. And then the government's just like, no freaking way, because you can't use observation hockey to detect things that are inside of other living things. So they would think like everyone's dead. They wouldn't be able to detect them. But then the whales show up, and they're like, what? What? You know, it's like an L in NOLA. Remember how like Luffy got out and Nell was like, wait, there's another person. How does that work? Like, I need that same thing, but with the whales.
That's crazy. That's hype. I haven't actually checked out the that was on Redacted, right? The one with you and Kev. But I did just check out the Will of D one that you put out. So I gotta catch that. That sounds heat. Everybody, make sure you sub to not just Daxake, but also Redacted.
Yes, sir. The next videos with King Recon.
Hi. Damn. Yeah, I've got a tentative collab with him up and coming as well. So that's the GOAT. We love Coach. But we've something you just said kind of reminded me of a thought that I had a long time ago. And I was like, so there's an island inside of an island whale, and like, were there trees in there like as well?
Inside Laboon? You mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's a palm tree. What
would happen, like, so if a devil fruit grew off of like a tree inside of an island whale, it hasn't eaten that fruit, but it's still like inside of it, and then no one would really be able to like seek out or detect that devil fruit, right? Like, I don't know, is that how maybe like if a fruit had a will of its own, it like evaded the government for so many years? Was it chilling inside of a pod of island whales or something?
That's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm just wondering in general, like if I had a devil fruit in my hand and I walked inside Laboon because he's so big that, you know, I could just do that. Does that count as him eating it? You know what I'm saying? Like, does he need to
there has to be a definition of eating if they're able to put it inside of inanimate objects as well. So like, where do we draw the line, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I think you draw the line at the stage of life return for digestion and absorption.
Yeah, consumption, I was going to say. Because I did hear sometimes the term early on. In French, the term they use early on for when they talk about for eating it, they use the same term they use in English for consuming it. So, you know, digesting it.
But we've seen a couple times where people eat the fruit and they immediately have the powers. Like, they haven't really started digesting, unless you count, like, technically speaking, chewing and like your saliva interacting with the food is like the start of digestion, technically speaking.
That's the enzymes breaking it down.
Yeah. So if I were to go in Laboon and like, let's say I dipped the fruit in his like stomach acid, would that immediately trigger it? Is that like the cutoff?
Or if it if it would start to break the seal that's holding the soul within the devil fruit, it might.
Yeah. Because that's what happened with Ace and Masdeus. Ace is just because he took a nibble just before Masdeus, so it could be like a pause for what I'm about to say. Maybe it's the juice inside the fruit that needs to come out. Pause.
So here we go. What if you throw the stomach acid of a creature and the devil fruit inside of a blender? Can you remotely give somebody a devil fruit like without them?
No, but I think you just found out the green blood that Vegapunk has.
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
We're cooking. We are actually cooking, yo.
Well, the only thing I gotta say, the only thing I gotta say is if Laboon gets a devil fruit, he's dead. So, well, not dead, but he's stuck at the bottom of the ocean forever. Which, real quick, that might be That might be how Laugh Tale is
Davy?
inside a whale at the bottom of the ocean. Is maybe Davy got a devil fruit and can't swim anymore and is stuck at the bottom, and now that's why Davy Jones' locker is down there.
Oh, so Laboon could have
but
two
he
ones,
couldn't be a whale.
two devil fruits. You know,
Yeah,
he could have the island fruit, or he could have just the gigantic fruit, the giant fruit.
Oh man, could you imagine Laboon with the giant fruit?
He's
Like,
actually just an island that ate the whale fruit.
Yeah, but the thing is,
think
Oh
about it.
my god.
It's
Yeah,
One
whales,
Piece.
Go ahead, Joe.
whales still need to breathe, so it couldn't be worse at the bottom of the ocean. That's not
You
possible.
could eat seaweed and get there's water pockets trapped under rocks at the bottom of the ocean. It wouldn't mean that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They do still need to breathe. We had one more question, and then I'm actually about to have to go soon.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
But I did want to make sure that we paid attention. 3-Day put in the chat. We've seen a Never Night Island at Annie's lobby, and also the sky is painted on inside of Laboon, so it's another Never Night Island. And I kind of see where you're going here, but I might need a little bit more clarification. But is that like a reference to if there was a battle at some point inside of Laboon? I'm reading some of your other chats. I don't know, that's really interesting. But like it is, I didn't even think of it like that either. Is that Laboon is technically a Never Night Island, just like Annie's lobby.
Yeah, I mean, is the whole world just like fake? You know what I'm saying? Like, or parts of it? Because like that was the thing with Laboon, is like they went in and they thought it was like outside, but it was just painted, right? Like it was a fake world or like a fake kind of existence.
Yeah, it was like
I've been
some
saying it-
Truman Show.
Yeah, I've been saying this, like, it's weird, but NL went someone that's very dark, we assume it's to space, but he could breathe in the atmosphere. Like, what if, like, what we thought it was the moon, but it was not actual space, it was something else. Just the illusion of space.
Something even more simple than that. We've only seen stars twice in the One Piece story in the manga.
Ooh, that's true.
And we've never seen other planets other than the moon or sun or Earth.
Yeah.
But we've seen
And-
space pirates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
But we don't know where their home base is.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm betting they're just from Earth, to be honest, and they just like I think Vegapunk or like his family created that whole thing. Like that's why the Dr. Tsukimi thing is tied to it, and he was on Karakuri. Like I think Vegapunk either had a secret pirate crew, because like you look at Clover. Clover was basically a pirate. Like we didn't really think about him that way, but on the flashback, especially in the anime, it was very clear that he was like basically being a pirate, going around getting hurt by or like, captured by the Marines and stuff like that. I'm wondering if Vegapunk did the same thing, but in like just in secret, where like he was trying to find more information, just like the O'Hara scholars, and so he's like, well, the moon's gonna, you know, that's probably important, because like who else can get to the moon other than Vegapunk? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Ooh, that I
Apparently,
like that.
anybody
because
with balloons.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say,
Sorry.
I like that because that ties into Vegapunk having a pseudo, like the ancient, the mother flame in essence looks like the balloons, the bubble balloons that they have on Witheria.
yeah, that's a good point actually. And like hot air balloons in general work with like a fire and like make you go up into the air, so it's like there's a lot of things I guess you could read into.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Yeah,
part of me always.
well,
I was just gonna say with this
Go
whole
ahead.
space stuff, I've always said we're all assuming that Clover was showing us how space looks like. What if he was trying to discredit something that he's heard that he doesn't believe in? You know, that space actually looks like that. Could also be him. You know, so it's something he's trying to discredit. Because it's weird that like it was in front of him, like it was haunting him. He was keep looking at it. If it's something everyone knows, why would he have it in front of him? What if it's something he's trying to prove to be right that he can't?
Awesome,
So he knows it,
Galileo versus the church type.
Yeah, exactly. And heretic, Galileo, a heretic that got literally executed for it.
Yeah, he was even before his execution. He was banished, and all of his publishings were essentially blacklisted, and like they were burned and all of that. Like anybody that was found reading them was essentially deemed as committing heresy because it was going against what the church said to publish.
Wheel of Dreams is cooking in the chat right now.
He's always cooking. He should be in the broth here.
I'm cooking in the real
But,
life right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to spit a little bit longer on whatever we've got to talk about. But as far as questions from the chat, I think that we're going to go ahead and say that we've answered our last one from chat. If you guys did want to ask us any more questions, we strongly urge you to check out the links in the description and join the Last Ark Discord. You can, catch pretty much all of us interacting in there fairly regularly. Ask us whatever you want in there. Be a part of the discussion. And we do community streams pretty often. So if you guys wanted to be a part of maybe one of the next ones where I'm not a spoiler content person, but sometimes we do spoiler coverage. We react to scans. We bring in some fans from, the Discord to talk a lot of the time. So if you want to be a part of that, maybe you can be on the next one with us. We appreciate you so much, Dak, for being a part of this one. And yeah, just make sure you guys, you can find all of our links to all of our socials in the description. And as far as Dak, 3 days been making it rain in the chat. Thank you so much for that. But we've been absolutely cooking on some stuff. Yep. Like I said, we can keep going. I just think that for any other future questions from the chat, hit us up in the Discord. We will be glad to, make sure to answer any of those there. But I don't want to cut off any discussions that we still want to, have here on stream.
Well, is there anything you guys want to cover?
So the Iron Giant remembering some of Joy Boy's words.
I mean, what do you think?
I don't know how much of this we're gonna get. I feel like this is another classic Oda tease, for lack of a better term. But I there's no way we're about to get a full Joy Boy monologue or something like that, right?
Imagine we're gonna get Joy Boy monologue talking alongside the Vegapunk monologue.
Oh my goodness!
Guys,
yeah,
we're gonna get
both of them saying the same words.
Yeah, we're gonna get the Roger's Dream sentiment, where treatment. We're just gonna hear the name of the Iron Giant. Then, just as we hear Joy Boy continue talking, it'll be removed. The sound will be removed, just like Roger's Dream and Luffy's Dream. So we'll know he's talking, but we just can't hear it. The rest. That's how I see it.
Well, so
Nasty Ninja 808 in the chat said voice actor for Joy Boy soon. In a year and a half when we get here in the anime. But,
yeah, definitely.
Well, if we assume that's Joy Boy's voice, though, right? Because it may not.
I feel like it's pretty safe.
No, so that's the thing.
It might not be. Yeah.
The officials all but confirmed it, in my eyes at least.
The question is, which Joy Boy is it? Because sorry, I thought you were...
it has to be the previous one, because it almost seems like the Iron Giant is remembering him saying this and automatically equating it to now. He's like, oh, it's the time now? This now is the time? Forget what the exact wording was, but
yeah,
I think it's definitely not confirmed, but it is very safe to assume.
As I was saying, all but confirmed.
It's tough because in the official, the word bubbles that are the quotes from the person in question, it just says Joy Boy, remember Emmett, or it says Emeth in TCB, but this says Emmett, whatever it is. Remember Emmett, only when the time is right. Time is right? ? And so by the fact that since the first bubble says Joy Boy ... if we assume that's the person speaking to the robot, then I don't think it can be Joy Boy. But unless we presume that's the robot talking to Joy Boy, and then the next bubbles are Joy Boy talking to the robot, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell who's saying what. But the fact that it says Joy Boy ! Makes me think that if that's the person saying it,
Well-
like Joy Boy wouldn't say his own name like that. You know what I mean? Like,
No, but in the previous chapter, we were getting thought bubbles from the robot itself, weren't we? So I feel like some of it was the robot thinking in present day, and some of it was the robot remembering back in the day.
Yeah, and I think that what it is right there, the Joy Boy ... exclamation point, is that it sensing Luffy as Joy Boy and is saying, "Oh, Joy Boy," and then is recalling the message given to them by Joy Boy.
Yeah, it's like the kickoff to a flashback.
Yeah.
Is what I think a lot of people are feeling, and like 3-Day put in the chat, are we getting a Void Century flashback in 1120? I think it's possible. I don't think it's probable. Like right now, like I think it's not as probable. But I mean, yeah, everything's possible in One Piece. I just think that like Oda's gonna keep kind of stringing us along for a little bit longer, and there's so much more that has to be resolved here on Egghead before we get so deep into something else. Like, are we gonna get like a whole nother like Kuma-sized flashback? No, I think we might get like, you know how we barely saw like a fraction of God Valley whenever we were like, everyone was like, oh, we're getting the full God Valley. No, we got like such like slight glances at it. I think if we get anything soon, that's all we'll get.
Well, that's why I said earlier, and
for now.
Jack had kind of brought it home with, is that it's going to be like Vegapunk and Joy Boy's messages are the same, so they just kind of line up.
Yeah, I could see it. I don't know that. Like, I know in my stream, a lot of people were saying like this could be a discussion the robot was having with Zunisha or whoever else was left behind, like after Joy Boy died, because they're like coming up with the plan, because they say like only when the time is right. Which like it could be Joy Boy saying it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I would not be shocked if this is. I wouldn't be shocked if this is someone other than Joy Boy. I mean, it could be him, but
also the real question we have to ask ourselves is very important, is that Kaido made correlation with Joy Boy with Shanks, Oden, Whitebeard, and Roger. We get that with Luffy, but Luffy is the only one that they connect him as being Joy Boy and the term Sadgarnika. So my question is that if it's the Joy Boy of 200 years ago, the one of the fish, because it's weird, Jinbei brought up the discrimination towards fishmen when they talk about our giant. So I'm wondering if it's either someone who connect, like, what if it's Poseidon instead? I'm just thinking, what if he's actually talking to Poseidon?
Or Lily.
Yeah.
It could even be someone like Charlie who's able to see into the future, or like it, like Roger had like this information. I'm not saying it was Roger, but I mean, it still kind of could have been. And like, he was just like, you know, like betting on the next generation type of vibes. Like, there's a lot of individuals it could be. So, I mean, I still think that it's very possible that it is Joy Boy. And I kind of want that from the story right now. But either way, I don't think we're going to get like a ton from this.
Yeah, the other thing I push on the Fishman Audit side is the Iron Giant attack happened 200 years ago. 200 years ago was exactly the last time that the Fishman delegates went to Marijoa. It's been 200 years since they last went there at the Reverie. So it does seem that there's something with the Fishman as well with the Iron Giant. Possibly it could be the Joy Boy who left that message to a beginning of post time skip at Fishman Island that Robin found. Same chapter, same arc where Joy Boy was introduced in name.
Man, I've been saying it for the longest time. Charlie lost her ability to look into the future whenever she threw away the crystal ball. Whoever the original owner of that crystal ball was 200 years ago down in Fishman Island, that's who it was. I'm sold. Like they imbued, like you can imbue your armament hockey into a black blade, make it permanently black. This person imbued observation hockey into this crystal ball, and that's what Charlie was vibing off of, but she didn't actually have the powers herself. The original creator of that crystal ball, that's who it's gonna be. I'm only partially memeing, but
no, I mean, I kind of like it. I mean, I feel like we gotta learn how black blades are made. Like, obviously hockey's gonna be involved, but there's more to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I could see something like that, but I could also see like how people can see the future now. Like, whenever you go to Laugh Tale, you learn about the future, right? Like, they learned about the flood in the future. Oden knew people were going to come save Wano, etc. Like, they were able to learn about what's going to happen. And so part of me wonders if it could just be a relic of the ancient kingdom that, like, I don't know if it's high tech or what it is, but something from back then that was meant to let people see the future that's coming, and maybe only certain people could like activate it. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like safe because you wouldn't want bad people knowing the future. But I don't know. I think Oda's going to have to explain at some point how that thing was made.
Yeah. And I do like that they say the time is right. Roger said that, it's we came too early and we got introduced of Toki last chapter. I'm wondering if Toki wasn't the only one. Like, I like this. There's a few people think that Toki is actually might have been the one who brought the Iron Giant 400 years in the past.
I hope not.
The Iron Giant.
I hope Toki's done. I hope Toki is. If Toki's alive, that would be cool. But I hope Toki doesn't have this big web of sending people to the future from the past.
I mean, if you think about it,
I don't think
we know
has
that
to be a lot of people, but I think it could make sense if it's like one or two. That's all.
We already had so many from Wano. You know what I mean? Like she is from the Void Century, so that's one automatically, and then obviously Momo and the Scabbards and stuff. So I'm just like, she's done enough. You know what I mean? She can retire. She can take her leave.
I disagree entirely. Like, I think she could serve so much more to the story, but it's like similar to like how we only got like a snippet, like a brochure of like Kaido's entire backstory, because that would tell us too much about rocks. We could only get so much from Toki in the time that we got her, because that would tell us way too much about the Void Century and in turn the end of the story and like how it has significance to that. So I think that like we will, I think that we absolutely will get more on not just Kaido, like once we get like the rocks reveals and stuff like that, and the rest of the rocks pirates as well, but also on Toki once we get closer to the point where we can get more information on the Void Century without it spoiling things. Oda's layering these things meticulously, I feel like, and like I don't think she's done in the story. I really hope not. I
mean, we're gonna get her in a flashback. We're gonna get her in the Void Century flashback, definitely.
I need her to be alive, but I do need more recontextualizing. Like down the line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I don't want her alive. I didn't mean that she's still alive. I'm just saying more like we'll get flashback where Toki is there. Yeah, she's serve her purpose being alive.
I would rather have her alive than her to have sent anyone else into the future, personally. Like, because it was also said, like, like she was running from people the whole time, like jumping into the future. So I just feel like if she was like in the Void Century and then got to a certain future and like found friends, like this robot would obviously be like an ally to her in some way. I'm just like whenever she escaped the Void Century, I hope it's just a situation where she was going to die and had to go to the future, and she was just, running from enemy after enemy after enemy, not sending anyone else, only herself, until she met Odin, because that was like home to her or whatever. But now that we're talking about her, I am thinking, her power, her awakening could be how the crystal ball came into existence, or something close to that. And that could maybe be like her importance in the future, is like maybe we see a flashback where like her or maybe the prior user awakened and created it, and they were like, all right, you need to go to the future now with this because this is too strong to let people have. Because like if everything's going to happen at a certain time in the future, then the worst thing you could have is a power that can send all the scariest enemies to that point, because then they can fight Joy Boy. It's like you need to, if anything, you need to be sending the good guys to the future, But I hope that didn't happen, just because, I don't know. I don't want to stack the deck more than it needs to. Like, I don't want Toki being too involved.
It's just that Oda left it like Chekhov's got a series of Chekhov's breadcrumbs, in the fact that he said like she didn't just hop straight from the Void Century. She had like a hop, skip, and a jump before getting there, and there were like a few pit stops. So I think that like until we get confirmation of otherwise, my head is always going to think that she was like, she had a hand in like one or two other things in past events, because we don't have a solid timeline for like hundreds of years up until we get to, like the timeline really doesn't start to beef up until about 100 years back from present day. And then we start to get like a really solid look at like what all has been going on. But like everything before then, that might end up being significant now, like the Iron Giant stuff, and anything else in between now and the Void Century, I feel like she could have a hand in it, just because he left that, like, you know, like that smoking plot device just kind of out there for all us to theory craft on. So I don't know, man. Like I also don't understand how Lunarians are in present day, but when they're supposed to have been extinct for however long or whatever, or like to the point where they're like mythological and they've been fully erased from like the common lexicon. Like I don't know, like, so I was thinking that maybe Albert was somebody who was brought by her from Void Century times or something like that, and then he became king after getting busted out by Kaido. Like I don't know, it's
like the fact that the Buccaneers
so
still
much.
exist. You know, like Kuma definitely wasn't sent from the past, and so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of evidence that it's just like they're just very small in numbers. You know what I mean? Like not actually extinct. Like people may not know them, but people, like there's some people who don't even know devil fruits exist, or they don't even believe it. You know, like people in One Piece are kind of dumb. So so I don't know.
I don't know. Clap could be from the past.
I mean, for me, it's more to think of propaganda at its finest. Like basically, Buccaneers and Lunarians became like the native in our world, where they're just a small flock. And then 47 years ago, the Doctor casually just said about the Buccaneer blood. So it could be that, look at God Valley in 38 years. We now know, just with the way they wrote the newspaper, people just casually forgot about a lot of stuff that happened in God Valley. It was just another event like all the other ones. It could be something with the races, you know. In 47 years, the Buccaneers are almost completely forgotten for some people. So it could be something of Lunarians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying maybe they mostly like 80% of them got wiped out maybe 150 years ago and not 800 years ago. But just, you know, how time information goes, just people just forgot so easily about them.
Yeah. No, I mean, because the thing is like, you know, people only like the victors get to make the history, or you know what I mean, they get to choose justice. So I just, you know, like people who are born today, like, you know, it's kind of like how in Wano they're teaching the kids that Joy Boy saved Wano, even though obviously it was Luffy who like is Joy Boy, but not really. It's like you know, it's all about like what you're kind of taught, or you know, what you get told. And I just think, you know, as these races get seen less and less, there's like less reason for these things to be passed down, or there's less people to pass these lessons down, and so it just gets to the point to where, you know, barely anyone knows they're around. But I don't know, man. I'm sure Toki's going to be relevant in the future. I just hope she's like relevant in terms of like the flashback. Like she's obviously going to be in there because she was born like 2/3 through the Void Century, which is like, she's like the only one we know of, I think, who was born during the Void Century. So I don't know. I don't know what her role is going to be, but I hope it's not sending all these people. Like if she's like the Noah of Noah's Ark, but in terms of time travel, like I'm going to save these races by sending them to the future. I'd be calling Oda up and asking what he's doing, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I think it'd be like one way to get these massive poneglyphs like gone instantly, like, you know what I mean? But like I don't know, like I could go full tinfoil and find like a million things that Toki could have possibly had a play in, but like realistically, I think it's not going to be anything like ridiculously significant. Because otherwise, why wouldn't she have said that? Like when she was with Odin, you know what I mean? So like, but I can't wait until we get. I really don't think we're getting like a full Void Century flashback in 1120. We might like I said, like see like a glimpse, like just like a slight glance at it. But there's still so much more that we have here on Egghead to take care of, like the whole Kaku and Stussy situation, and like the other Straw Hats that haven't set sail yet, and the remaining Gorosei figures and things like. There's just I feel like we have gone enough other places in Egghead. I do want 7 more chapters of Egghead though, because I put 13 chapters ago that there were going to be 20 chapters at least left of Egghead on my bingo card, and I really want to check that box off. So like I want at least 7 more chapters, but no more than that.
I'm gonna be honest. I hope Egghead ends next chapter. Like I'm at the point where I'm ready to leave.
I can see that.
I haven't been very vocal about like the thing, like everything dragging on, but I'm at the point where I'm just ready to go. I'm Oda, like, you know, like I talked about this in my video with like on Redacted with Kev, but like the message itself is one thing, but I have almost a bigger issue with how Oda keeps presenting an issue and then finding a solution immediately, creating an issue, finding a solution immediately. Like it's like that's stalling in my mind, because he's trying to make things interesting or flow in a way that you know makes sense why we're like struggling right now. But it's clearly just stalling. Like, for example, Luffy going into Gear 5th, getting tired, finding food, going back into Gear 5th, getting tired, finding food. And he repeated that like 5 times now, right? Because he got the food, like I guess you could say over the night that we haven't seen what happened yet. Like over the course of that night, he was eating because we found him eating right when we got back to him. But then also like he got the food from like the mystery person, like maybe Kizaru or whoever it was, right? That gave him food. And then he got like the fermented meat from the giants, and then he just ate in like the bottom of the giant ship again. And I'm like, all right, Oda. So now he could just be in Gear 5th forever now. Like if you just have food pop up wherever. And then also like the barrier thing, how like Stussy was in there having like the sentimental moment of like, I'm gonna stay behind and take care of these lasers and whatever. And then Edison's like, nah, never mind, they're useless now, just leave. I'm like, okay, Oda, like or like the Sunny was about to slide off the cloud, and then all of a sudden these bamboo things pop up. I'm like, all right, Oda, like you're just creating problems just to create problems. You know what I mean? Like you're not like I'm at the point to where anything that happens, I'm like, well, that's not a big deal. Oda's just going to answer in 2 seconds and find a solution. So I'm just ready to get out of there because he's clearly just, I don't know, just making stuff up. You know, he's just like biding time.
He's created a full story, let alone, but also just this arc has so many moving parts that if like one thing happens and then someone in the chapters like, actually that couldn't happen because, you know, they couldn't fall off there because Brook could just use his ice, or like, you know, like all these like, so like I feel like he's created such a like intricately woven like, you know, mechanism here as an arc and a story at large, with so many different moving parts that he's at a point. It's like you can either choose to like breeze over some of these things and get to the point, or you can choose to like and like I can see a part of it is him trying to be a very buttoned up writer and leave nothing unanswered, but it does come across as bloat. Like
yes.
So I totally get what you're saying, but like it's like that, like Oda is a perfectionist. And like we know that he won't really like let people do his character art, and he's like, y'all do the backgrounds, I'll handle this. Even when he's like going through health things and stuff like that, like he is a perfectionist. And so I feel like this is like Egghead is a very good arc, but we are seeing just like a crazy amount of bloat here. And I feel like, is Egghead gonna be like the next Dressrosa? You know what I mean? Where like people are just like, it's going on too long. Like we've seen this too much, you know?
Or the next Wano.
Yeah. You know what kind of makes you think of is he's done that at least once that we know of. Well, I mean twice now in this in Egghead as well. In Wano, he purposely fitted the reveal of, if I'm not mistaken, of the Sun God the same week or week after the reveal of Jinbei's fight with Who's Who, talking about Sun God Nika. And the chapter of Will of Ohara, there was a name drop on the he remember he jumped they didn't do an episode. They dropped the episode afterwards for Will of Ohara, which happened on the same moment where Clover's name was dropped. The Scholars of Ohara were dropped in the message. So I think that makes me sense on that stalling, because we've all seen it. It kind of feels like he's trying to fit some sort of date, like a date that has symbolism in the world or the anime.
Oh, we're
he's
going with Math Piece.
Yeah.
Shout out to Randy Troy. But
yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to connect to something. That's why I think it can make sense for me. He's stalling for a certain moment to drop a certain chapter of Egghead, like the end of Egghead. For some reason.
Yeah, or it's just like he wants to get to a certain point in the message and doesn't want us to feel like all he's doing is giving us the message, like that he wants action going on amidst it. And so so the message, I don't know if he meant it for it to take this long, but it seems like he's just forcing things to happen in the background while he conveys whatever he's trying to convey through Vegapunk.
Yeah.
And I honestly might rather him just like just give us like a full couple paragraphs and for and just tell us what the message is and then move on. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It like here's another example, the Zoro thing, like how he was struggling with Lucci for however long, and then finally he just finishes it, and Jinbei like helps him with like I'm just like, dude, like Oda,
we need to see it. Yeah.
Like there was no reason to do that. Like there was no like it's clearly stalling. It's clearly all it is to me, and sometimes that's necessary to stall or create like little random plot things just to like bring that in whenever you're ready, like a ticking time bomb type thing. Like, all right, whenever we're ready to go, I'll finish that fight. Because then, then they don't have to be busy. Then I don't have to think about something else for them to do,
Yeah.
But,
or
I don't know.
Or this weird thing is, we're all happy of those callbacks of all those characters. But he is really doing the list, if you think about it.
Yep.
The amount of characters he's bringing back, it's weird. It's true that he's trying to stall as much as possible, showing like, oh, well, Tanjiro, we're happy about that. Oh, we're happy about the people of Alabasta. We're happy for Big. He showed, I think, Big News Morgan and Didi's reaction two or three times now.
We've seen Laboon's reaction twice, which I love Laboon. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, now you're stretching it. Like,
come on, Crocus, no.
I think I'd be fine if we just got reaction tour like around the world and didn't get like the cut back to all of these egghead things, or if we just got some egghead things that were more relevant, not just these like random fires popping up that are immediately doused, like you were saying. But like if we just got egghead reaction piece, or if we just got like around the world reaction piece, maybe. But the fact that it's like all of these things on top of each other, I'm definitely getting like arc fatigue from this little stretch. But it doesn't take away from like the fact that it is quality, and I can see Oda being like, they've waited 25 plus years, they can wait a little bit longer for this reveal, so I mean, I think that like, because he did try to specifically line up like Dragon's reveal for a certain chapter number, and then like I think that to an extent Math Piece is real, but I don't think that it's as prevalent as like some people have like tried to like make it out to be. So I mean, there's something that he is waiting on here and like trying to build up to, but like at that same time, like take a break. If you're waiting for like an IRL date or something like that, like I think we'd be fine as a community just letting Oda like kind of like rest and get ready for it, which we've he's done. He's been taking a lot more breaks recently than others, and I think that's also a bit of stalling. We got the least amount of chapters in 2023 than we've gotten in how many years, and some of that was because of live action, some of that was because of health as well. But like, I mean, like if that's what you need to do, I'd rather you do that than add anything that the community is gonna like potentially like complain about, because we have gotten a lot of people, and like I feel like that's just like something that you get at the end of arcs nowadays, which is unfortunate because Egghead has been so good. Like the only major complaint I have with Egghead is the York Trader reveal situation. Like everything else I think has been really great when you take a step back and look at it individually, piece by piece. But yes, it has felt and I've heard in the community a lot of these individual people like saying this just needs to wrap up like now.
It does.
I'll tell you.
But none of that outweighs the fact that I need to cross a spot off my bingo card. So 7 more chapters.
Like for me, I think the arc already could have and should have ended where it should have been once we got done with the Kuma flashback. We should have probably just had Kuma die, to be honest with you, and then we should have just moved right into the message and the Gorosei pulling up, and like we could have already probably been done with the message. Like for me, I think it's not that it's been bad outright, but I think relative to like how I was feeling at the time, I feel like the arc has gone down in my ratings since the Kuma flashback ended. Like I know we got to see all the Gorosei forms, and we got a couple big reveals, but for me, it's just Oda could have done all of this in a shorter amount of time, and it would have hit harder, and we could have already been gone. But it's just like, I don't know, man. Everything up until that point, I was so ready, and now I'm just like, all right, Oda, like this, you're just dragging it, Which, like I said, it's not bad. Like I'm still gonna rate it, like an A or whatever. But I don't know. It was a top 5, and now it might not be a top 10. I'm gonna put it that way for me.
So,
Damn.
I'm just gonna say this because that's how I felt it. When you said just have Kuma die, for that brief instance, I heard the voice of Saturn coming out of your mouth. So
Hey,
for a second.
Kuma's already dead, and he's moments from being dead. You know what I'm saying? So I think Kuma dying could be like one of the ultimate, like, you know, finisher moments for an arc. Like that could be so sad with like all the Bonnie stuff. Like imagine if Kuma died and that's what triggered Bonnie to use Gear 5th or something. Like that would have been way better in my opinion. Not that I'm happy she went out of Gear 5th pretty quickly, but I just think like I don't know. There's ways that Oda could have just weaved it all together to be better. And also something we didn't talk about is Katakuri is also a huge fraud now. By the way,
I disagree.
He's a complete fraud. He's the one who messed up and couldn't protect the island, and his sister got abducted because he lost a freaking Caesar clown, and now he's not going to leave and go make up for it. Like, dude, even when you stayed, you failed. Why continue staying? You know?
Because he said they got Total Land Civil War going on. Parasparrow's trying to like take over the crew, and Katakuri is just like, hey yo, you don't know what's best. Like you weren't even a sweet general, and I think they were just invaded by like another Yonko crew, and like there was significant damage dealt there and stuff like that.
And
like,
he failed.
I get that obviously it should be. I get that it should be a priority to get your sister back, absolutely. But at the same time, there's like a lot going on, and I would say it's like similar to like why like Dragon wasn't able to just go outright and grab Ginny whenever like that whole situation. It's like I don't think it's the tactical move. Necessarily until you can unify Total Land, because Parasparrow is trying to divide. He's been trying to divide things,
Well, do we actually know that though? Like, we don't even know if Parasparrow's back on the island, or if Big Mom's actually dead, or if they know that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really have a lot of context
there's a whole lot we don't know. So I mean, I think I don't know if I'm gonna put Katakuri on like fraud. I'm adamantly against Fraud Watch. In general,
he is above Dragon character on my fraud list. Because Dragon, I can believe excuses. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, yeah, like you're fighting the world government. It's way too big, like, of a challenge to go save her, and like you have a bigger goal that you're trying to accomplish. Like, and there's probably way more specifics to it that make that more legit. But I can buy why Dragon is inactive. Like I can get it. For Katakuri, he has no excuses for me, because like I said, he already failed protecting Todo Land. Why try staying? You lost to Caesar Clown. Like, if Caesar can come in and confuse you, so then people can come in and take your shit. I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss. I'm sorry. I'm angry, obviously.
You're fine.
No, you're good.
You were fine, brother.
But I'm like, you need to go make up for your mistakes, and you're just chilling watching the TV. Like I just can't do it, because like
I agree with you on the point that Katakuri wasn't a bit introduced as observation hockey god.
Exactly.
It's true that the excuse of the gas confused him is like saying the way that we got in Whole Cake about. We know that he has conquerors, but his aspect that we really love is the future side of observation hockey that he introduced. So it's true that it's pill to swallow.
I mean, him staying on the island might be a net negative. He punched Oven. Anyway.
Okay. You have somebody backing you up in the chat, Dak. You have John Sharon on all social media saying, "Cat is a bum. I'm with that Laboon lover for once." That is crazy.
Hey, JJ, this might be our only point of agreement here, but I'm glad we can form a temporary alliance over this.
Yeah. But I will tell you, Dak, I do agree what you're saying before about the stalling the chapter since Kuma's flashback. I still love it, and I think it's still gonna be my top 5. But it's so that we got what? It's been 50 chapters since we're out of Kuma's flashback. A lot of the stuff that we've had in those last 15 chapters could have been like you could have done it in like 9 or 10 chapters. I mean 9, 10, like if you're
SBS. No,
like Zoro, anything that comes to Zoro is SBS anyway. So,
my goodness.
Yeah.
I'll do. Don't
But
worry.
yeah, I think we're about at the point where I'm about to have to leave. For sure, for sure. We've been cooking for almost 3.5 hours, so let's get into outros if that's fine with everybody. I'll go around and let everybody kind of spit what they've got coming up very quickly, and then we'll close out, guys. Dak, you want to start us off? Give us a little sneak peek on what's up and coming.
For sure, man. So first off, thanks for having me on. As always, everyone, if you haven't subscribed to The Last Ark, I don't know what you're doing. Definitely do that, and like D-Stream, please. But as for my videos, I have a Lodestar video coming out this weekend, aiming for Sunday, worst case scenario Monday, and I think you guys will like that because I have, from what I can tell, a pretty unique idea regarding that island. I have a few different ideas. Scopper Gabon will definitely be mentioned, but he's not the whole focus. There's a lot more, but I'm excited for that one, so be on the lookout. I also have a stream tomorrow night with Crap Cafe, if anyone has heard of him before. He's a newer creator who has been just killing it since he started, and he makes some really, really good videos. He had a video on Krieg before the Krieg reveal, and so I shouted him out there, and I'm going to do a stream with him tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so but thanks again for having me. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the stream.
Oh, you're always welcome. Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, brother, honestly. And then Cube, what's up and coming with the Nothing Happened podcast? What you guys got going on over there?
Sorry guys, we have crazy talks happening. Nothing Happened podcast. Unfortunately, as you know, nothing happens on the podcast, so I can't really talk about it. But you should check us out. So I do hope 3Day can do her magic and drop the link to the podcast. But check it out, guys.
Yeah, absolutely huge. I got nothing but love for Kusoland Theories, Tainted Marth, Star Knight Andy Legs, as well as you're my brother, Cube. So I'm a little bit behind. I just caught up on Group 14 of TLA One Piece D&D Mikey's Men. I just caught up with the Sakura Pirates, and you guys are next up on my list. I really need to catch up on everything. I did catch the first one though. Huge. And then we've got Brother Dill. I know you're in some of those One Piece D&D groups. Anything in particular you want to plug for the chat before we get going?
I'm not in any One Piece D&D groups. Nah, I'm just kidding. You can find me over on Dire Regulus's channel at about 6:25-ish EST, give or take about 5-10 minutes. Just for starting soon screen and all that jazz. Group 3 is going to be infiltrating the Hagen family, and find out what that entails over there on Dire's channel. Also, catch me over on. Yeah, I said the date and time already.
I didn't
catch me over on. Catch me over on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST over on vexyz, the Lurking Legends channel, Lurking Legends channel. However, I was going to say that. Check us out over there. Group 2 solos. We're coming off of a SBS/recap session over there where we found out a lot of stuff about the crew, a little bit of stuff about CC. CC found out some stuff about a map that may or may not actually exist,
Yeah, it's all hype over there and over on Dire's channel. Make sure you guys stay locked in. My link is in the description as well. If you're wanting to catch up on that, we just had a great stream. It's kind of like an entry point if you're not trying to watch the whole 100 other hours worth of shit that we had on my channel. I'm also a part of TLA Gaming myself, which you can catch here on the TLA channel every Monday, where we play through Trails in the Sky. I'm backseat for Tree the Wolf, who was unfortunately not here, but he was in the chat earlier. Much love to him. And then Straw Hat Lucas is muted up right now, but I know he would want to make sure that you guys go check his channel out for Mikey's Men, like I was saying earlier, as well as his up and coming Rambling Addiction. This next one's apparently going to be pretty huge. And make sure you follow 3-Day Trip on Twitter and Reddit, and just join the Discord. You can interact with all of us pretty much every day. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. It's been such a fun discussion. Always have such a great time cooking with the homies. And Dak, like I said, you're always welcome. Thank you so much for coming on through and being the GOAT that you are in the community. Yeah, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a good one.
Yeah, guys.
Speed.